Some may find the following disturbing. Discretion is advised. Some may find the following disturbing. Discretion is advised. Some may...
Put the children to bed. It's time for Dan and Aldo to bare their souls.
I love the Chicago Bears more than I do masturbating, and that is a lot.
And with 3 seconds left, Bob Avellini throws a 30-something yard touchdown pass to Greg Latta, and the Bears win, and I literally shit my pants. I swear to God, I literally did.
Eric Kramer, for me, I love the guy. He's a tragic figure. I mean, he embodies all that is.
If they don't run the ball here, I'm going to vomit. I swear to God.
Look, I don't mean any disrespect. He just didn't play that well. Not for a guy of his caliber.
You know, they won, but I'm going to be miserable all week because they stunk.
I don't really have any recollection of that at all, but I guess perhaps I blacked it all out.
So, Dan, tape is the ultimate tool for scouts and for coaches to evaluate players, to detect plays and so forth. And they spend hours looking at tape, right? Why do they so often get shit wrong?
I love the efficiency of bourbon.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dan and Aldo.
It's good to be with you once again, Mr. Gandia. I just sent you.
You were in this man cave 44 hours ago or something like that.
Yeah, it's so, like I said, it looks like a movie set. It's so impressive. I love the poster of us in the background. I mean, not to sound like a narcissist, but it's good to see me in your fucking house, huh? But I'm wearing your shirt. I want to give you props again. I just sent you the picture. You bought me a Justin Fields t-shirt with caricature of him at Dick's. I was about to say Dick's Swiss Burger. That's a local restaurant here. At Dick's Sporting Goods. And you're so kind for that. I bought his food numerous times. And once again, you're great to me, and I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. It was an incredible weekend. I mean, in my time here with the bar room since 2014, this might have been the most fun that I've had. Yeah, it is definitely the most fun that I've had with barflies and bar room show hosts. And we've had some nice get-togethers in the past with a lot of our people. But man, oh man, this particular weekend was just special. We had our party at the King's Entertainment, and I highly recommend anybody that's just going to go out for a drink to go hang out there, play some bowling, pool, or what have you. And they got so many screens. They got every game covered, and we had just a fabulous time. I got some video of it. It might be a little too early. I'll play it a little later. But just to kind of demonstrate the good time that we had, and for all you barflies that were there, thank you very much. And for all of you who couldn't make it, we're going to try to do this again next year, and hopefully we'll have even better attendance from our barroom show hosts, and we'll have an even better time. So did you have a good time, brother?
Yeah, it was good to meet people. Like I said, Dan just says on the screen, he's sorry he missed it. His wife was ill and they were driving late on Saturday. But again, I want to shout Dan out too for hooking us up. Good seats on Sunday. It was so fun. But I'll talk about that in a minute. To answer your question, yeah, Saturday was cool too. Like to meet Mike North, you know, the guy who's basically number one in the third radio market in the country, like a decade. I mean, just I felt like I was meeting someone really important, you know, and meeting Buffon, you know, was awesome. And Neil Stopchinski, good talker, man. And
Yeah.
he and his lady was so fun. Our guy Jay Bonds coming out and meeting us.
Drove
it
4
was-
hours. A Barfly
Yeah.
for 4 hours for the event.
and drove 4 hours back.
And drove 4 hours back.
Yeah, he didn't stay in town, and he had his friend with him. I forget his name, unfortunately, but they are both so awesome to talk to. Everybody, I mean, it was fun. It was like a homecoming event.
It really was. It really felt great. And what would have made it better, of course, do I have to say it? Is if the Bears would have won Sunday. It was truly it's going to be something that we will always remember as Bears fans, whether you were there or not. It was such a sensational performance by Justin Fields. And by the way, not a lot of people have brought this up, but when he scored that magnificent touchdown, which brought this expression to my face, I mean, it was such an unbelievable thing because I don't think I've ever seen a human being run that fast. And I saw Willie Gault in person. I've seen other fast players, but he ran so fast. But I think what is incredible to me is what people didn't pick up on is that when he finished the touchdown run and he released the ball, he did the Michael Jordan shrug. And nobody has said anything about it.
Against the Blazers?
Yes, after
the Cliff
Jordan hit
Robinson?
the 6 threes.
Oh, I didn't notice that. I didn't notice that.
Yes, in fact, I thought I had it on video, but I'll look for it. But it just between Justin Fields sliding into the end zone after that week 1 victory of the 49ers, now his shrug, and who knows what's going to happen in these remaining games. He's got some more incredible theatrics for us.
He had a similar touchdown in Minnesota, and they called it back in a bullshit penalty.
Yeah. Exactly.
I was so glad they didn't throw a flag on this one because, not to step on you, you were going to say there's so much more to come, you think?
Yes, so much more to come that, a lot of people have brought up the name Devin Hester in terms of, his spectacular play. Well, Hester did it, from time to time. And I mean, still, Hester should be in the Hall of Fame. I'm not knocking him at all. But this is the quarterback, and he's going to do it more than time to time.
Yeah, because Devin wasn't on the field every play.
Right. He was not on the field every play. And even when he was at wide receiver, he just didn't provide the theatrics that I have seen so early on from Justin Fields and expect to see as time goes on.
Nor did he do that at cornerback either, for that matter.
My goodness. Probably a good decision to move him away from the cornerback position, because if we saw him as a wide receiver and he was okay, if he wasn't any better at cornerback, he probably would have been a huge liability and may not have been able to concentrate on his return game. Do you remember those days with Devin Hester? There were times where he went into a slump with his return game and people said it's because he's at wide receiver now.
Yeah, it was in 08 and 09. He didn't have a kick return at all for a touchdown or a punt for that matter. He went from late 07. I don't remember if he got in the last game of 07, but it was near the end until week 3 of 2010 against Green Bay before he had a return. So over 2 full years without a return. And coincidentally or not, that's when he got moved to wide receiver permanently as supposedly our number 1, around that same era too. After Berrien left and Muhammad left.
So one of the things in the media mashup that I put together, and I basically kept it to the 2 major local terrestrial radio stations, ESPN 1000 and the Score Sports Radio, but it seemed to be a topic that came up in a number of their shows was, pump the brakes on Justin Fields. He still has a lot to prove. So far it's looking so good. And I'm like, I don't need any further proof to tell you this guy's going to be a bad motherfucker. He's
already a bad motherfucker.
Yes. I mean, he does have to improve his passing game. You want to see 300 yards passing. You want to see 400 yards passing, but he's going to get there. There is no fucking doubt in my mind that he's going to get there. And part of that is what we're seeing from him in the run game and what it's going to open up. And once he gets the all of the assets that he needs at the skill positions, this could be another Michael Jordan, another Walter Payton, the two greatest Chicago sports athletes that I got to witness. I'm on a high, man. I am on a high.
Yeah, the only negative that I can really, well, not the only negative, but because the defense, we could talk about that later. But in terms of the offense, I noticed it while we were there, but after watching the TV copy I had a problem. Like, I just didn't want to watch Miami score on us. I watched us on offense on the TV copy. But man, the inability for anyone else to run effectively was striking. And so I paid particular attention to Whitehair because he was just coming back, and it seemed so unexpected. At least I didn't think it was this week. And then suddenly he's back. It felt like Whitehair really struggled from when I watched on TV. And again, I'm not trying to say I know anything more than anybody else, but maybe Schofield should be playing if Whitehair looked bad from what I could tell.
Yeah.
And they couldn't gain but 2 yards a clip.
Yeah. The offensive line was not blocking well for our running backs. And that is concerning because that's been a big part of the offense. And we shouldn't rely on Justin Fields to rush for, how much was it? 180 yards?
Something like 179, I think, 178. It was the all-time record in the National Football League for a quarterback.
In regular season game, because who was it in the playoffs that exceeded that? Michael Vick. So
God, Vick got that more in the postseason. I didn't even remember that. That's
season game. Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't remember because
I know. That's fairly incredible though.
Yeah. So I'm just on a high, and there's been this debate. It will cover it a little bit in the media mashup, but whether people should be happy at the fact that we lost, but Justin Fields made progress, and so it's almost a double win because now we're closer to getting a top 5 pick in the draft. And I don't know. I hate to even be talking about this topic. Yes, it's important for Justin Fields to progress, but victories are important too. And I know that's something. Dan, after the game, you were demoralized because it became so close.
Yeah, that pass interference penalty. It looked like one of the Dolphins was trying to deliver the Heimlich maneuver.
Mm-hmm.
The Kaepernick, I see, with the Packers.
181.
Yeah, I guess that was 2013 then. But yeah, that defensive, if you call the one on Eddie Jackson when he's looking back at the ball and trying to make a play on the ball, and you call that pass interference, and you don't call the intentional grounding late in the game that was clearly intentional grounding. Mm-hmm. And then you got a guy getting mugged, and everyone has seen the still photo, and you don't throw the flag on that, don't even call illegal contact. You feel jobbed. You just feel like, come on, man, is the game fixed? Is the integrity of the game in question? Like, look at this. You're showing the video footage of it. Is he trying to check him for a hernia? What has happened?
It was an X-rated act. It looks like he wants to screw him from behind there.
Yeah, and both of them, it's a gang fuck right there.
Yeah, and there's the guy, Ryan Dixon. By the way,
who threw the flag.
Yes.
Who threw the flag on the other call.
Indeed.
That guy should be fired. If I fucked up that badly at my job, I would be out of there. And not only that, I'd be prosecuted. And that guy should be prosecuted. There's some integrity issue right there for him to throw the other flag and for him to stand there and look at that and say there's nothing. But then again, why doesn't the crew come over, like the leader, that guy with the glasses who clearly needs a stronger prescription? I don't know what his name was, but why doesn't he come over and say, I'm the head official. We saw that. That's a flag, bro.
Exactly.
And then
go ahead.
The St. Brown drop, which I was so down after the no call and 4th down, I didn't even see how badly the drop was until I saw it on TV. Fields still made a play after that. And St. Brown just, like you said, people like Adam Schefter with the gloves on can make like 10 catches in a row just for like some B-roll for ESPN. And St. Brown can't catch that.
Yeah,
I've defended this guy since we signed him too. I'm not flip-flopping. I was in favor of signing him and thought he had something to prove, but I think now he's just proven that Green Bay was right in letting him go.
Yeah, well, I'm not giving up on EQ. I'm not saying that you are, but boy, that was a kick to the balls. And, maybe they've got a surplus of wide receivers now with the addition of Claypool and the return of Brian Pringle. I expect him to be back this week. And maybe it's just to bench EQ for this upcoming week and let everybody know there are ramifications if you don't execute your job. You're paid to catch passes, as you'll hear Tom Thayer talk about in the media mashup. And if you fail to do so, then you're going to go to the bench, or you may not even dress for a game. I think that would be fair. As much as I like EQ and as much as I'm pulling for him, there have to be consequences for this.
I don't know if there will be, though, because he is a great blocker.
Yes.
So I don't know if they'll.
Claypool, now Velus Jones is not a great blocker, but he's an okay blocker. Pringle, I think, is an okay blocker. I can't say that with certainty, but we'll see. There's going to be a lot of interesting game day roster decisions being made, because you'll want to take a look at all of these players before making big time decisions as to who's on the roster in 2023. So you can't say that Velus Jones is not going to play again. You've got to play him again and know if you need to acquire another receiver with those super speedy characteristics, which is why they draft him. They wanted a speed receiver. So we'll see.
I want a receiver that when he's going downfield will catch the ball, though. Like Velus didn't in Dallas. I think that's why he wasn't dressed this week, the healthy scratch.
Yeah.
Between that and his inability to catch the punts and fumbling and losing 2 games. I mean, it's just another one of those games. Once more, your record is what it says it is. It's 3-6. But the Bears could have easily won 3 or 4 more of these games.
Adeptus makes a really good point about EQ, saying he's responsible for a couple of dozen yards just by holding some really good blocks. And that is fantastic. But, we've also got to improve the passing game. And if you've got receivers who aren't going to hold on to big time passes, that's not going to help your quarterback. And, whether he needs any more encouragement from his receivers, that I don't think that's debatable. I think he needs receivers who are going to consistently catch passes. That's going to help his development and help the team. But yeah, Adeptus, I agree with you. It's great that he's holding his blocks. We've got a lot of great blockers at wide receiver, but
let me give
catchers.
Speaking of great blockers, and someone that I need to give some credit for because I've been critical of him, is Cole Kmet. Kmet ran with power. Again, we were at the game. I don't recall whom he ran over, but he caught a pass, threw his shoulder down, ran over the guy on the far sideline. It was beautiful. He had two running plays that were successful early in the game. He had the 2 touchdowns. Kmet came to play on Sunday, and for someone that I've said that I thought he sucked, I want him to continue to prove me wrong, man. I mean, I'm a fan of him. I want him to be successful, and he looked good on Sunday.
He really, really did. And it's so encouraging to know that position. I mean, we need additional tight ends, but that position I think is going to be set with Cole Kmet. Cole Kmet is your tight end for the next 5 to 7 years. I really do believe he's not going to be among the best pass catching tight ends, but he's going to be among the best tight ends who can block really well and make catches and make some big plays. His first couple of seasons with the Bears, he made mistakes that were frustrating. He dropped some passes, he made some stupid plays and stuff, but he's a young kid. He's 23, 24 years old. He's entering the prime of his mental and physical capacity.
And he's good friends with Claypool.
And he is good friends with Claypool. Exactly. And that, I think, means something,
Yeah.
It's this team is and I hate to, from week to week, we tend to overreact after a loss. We're sad but I'm on board, man. This team is looking like it's going to be a special team. We just have to be patient. It may not a Super Bowl may not happen in 2023, but I'm positive that if Ryan Poles makes a couple of good acquisitions in free agency with all that money that he has, drafts well, this will be a playoff team in 2023, and Super Bowl could be within reach as early as 2024. Who knows? Maybe even next year, as you always say. Why not us?
Well, I mean, there's still games left this year. I don't want to throw the white flag out yet. If the defense, I know you traded your 2 captains, and now 93 is a captain, which is crazy. But the thing, I think the coaches really let us down on defense. Looking at the small amount that I did on the TV copy, and we were saying it at the game. We were like, dude, just bring some pressure. I know you're afraid to blitz because you don't want to leave somebody out, but when you're getting torched with these slants over and over and over, or in the middle of that zone, I mean, occasionally just do something. At the game, I think I was saying to you, I was like, can we please just get a safety blitz or a corner blitz? Just bring some pressure on Tua. You got to hit Tua. They only hit him like once all day. I think it was Justin Jones, right? Yes.
That's why when don't be surprised, Dan, when the 2023 draft is over, a lot of fans are going to be pissed off because I can't believe they focused on defense again with their first couple of picks. Well, guess what? We need a pass rusher. We need 2 pass rushers. So we need that all-important 3-tech defensive tackle, the new Tommy Harris. We need that person for this defense, and you need an outside pass rusher. So whether that comes,
we need our Clay Matthews. For years, he terrorized Jay Cutler. He just came in, and all he did was pass rush and would always get to Jay. We need somebody like that to get to Rodgers or to whomever we're playing against. Someone that comes in and literally like Robert Quinn last year. That's what we need. We need the 2021 version of Robert Quinn or Richard Dent. We need someone that's going to get double-digit sacks. In addition, and no, maybe you get that in free agency. I don't know. Maybe you get a tackle in free agency on the other side of the ball. But I would say that you're going to spend some money somewhere for either a pass rusher or a quality offensive lineman, and then draft on the opposite end of that, the one you didn't sign, probably.
Yep. All right. 4,000 Clover says that on the Bear Football Show, Jordan Silvera, and I know that Danny Shimon said the same thing. He texted me that they should.
It was good to meet Danny too, by the way. I'm sorry to interrupt. Go ahead. I didn't want to slight Danny.
Yeah, Danny's a great guy, isn't he?
Yeah, yeah. It was my pleasure to meet him as well.
Yeah. So they should have blitzed more. You're not getting there with the 4-man rush, and I know that a quarterback like Tua is probably smart enough to take advantage of blitzes, but this team has, when it's blitzed, they've shown the capacity to disguise blitzes and bring people in and trick or I can't think of the best word, but trick veteran quarterbacks into not knowing where the blitz is coming from. They should have been able to do the same thing with Tua. I was surprised that it was a very stubborn strategy by Alan Williams. And I think, they felt so confident that they had the right approach to beating Tua. They were in essence blaming the players for not executing the plan. And so they may be right. They may be wrong. I don't know, but I would have liked to have seen more blitzing.
Yeah. Cause you've got Hill and Waddle just eating you alive, and you're just sitting there letting it happen. And I always blame Vildor, but he got hurt. So it wasn't exclusively on Vildor. You got to make some kind of adjustment. Like I said, get out of that fucking zone, for God's sake. Like you were saying at the game, let them go man up. I mean, something, just change the look, confuse them. And I'm not advocating taking a cheap shot at Tua when I say this, but he's punchy, man. He just came out of concussion protocol. He had some severe head injuries just a month ago. I mean, is he really back? I mean, go hit that motherfucker and let's find out. I mean, get some pressure on him. And I'm not saying you should cheap shot him in any way. Do it within the confines of the rules. But having said that, be aggressive. It felt like we were too afraid, too passive.
I agree with that. Yeah.
And that really hurt us. But if I'm playing devil's advocate against my own argument, the thing that in the end that beat us was that damn block punt.
And the Bears outscored the Bears offense outscored the Dolphins offense. It was the difference in the game was that block punt. Now you can go you can say, of course, in the last few possessions, the Dolphins were more interested in burning the clock than anything else. They were running the ball more than they did earlier in the game. If they would have kept their passing attack, they would have posted 50 points on the Bears. But nonetheless, the stats say the Bears offense scored more than the Dolphins offense,
and had more time possession too.
That's something to really hang your hat on. J2K asks, where have you seen this much offense from Trestman's offenses in his time with the Chicago Bears? I have to say that's it, right?
In recent times, I would say 2013 Trestman, because 14 didn't really turn out the way we all wanted it to. But 1999 Bears, man, early in the Gary Croton's first season under Geron. And we were scoring. I mean, the Bears finished 6-10, and I remember Chris Berman saying on ESPN, the 2000 Bears, watch out for them. Like, they're sneaky good. And, I bought into that shit. And I'm like, yeah. And we drafted Urlacher, first pick, Mike Brown, and they finished 5-11 next year. That offense fell apart, and Gary Croton ran to BYU. So, but that 99 team was explosive too.
Yeah, I would have to. Do you remember? I forgot what I was going to say. But in any case, Michael asks, if Getsy gets a head coaching job, what do you think about Frank Reich taking over as offensive coordinator? If Getsy leaves, he thinks that's a strong possibility, because perhaps he probably thinks that way because of the connection with Eberflus. So I don't know. I'm a big Getsy fan. I would do whatever possible to keep him, but of course he's not going to say no to a head coaching position. I do think it's a little early,
I don't think it's a foregone conclusion. I mean, if you look at Hackett struggling so badly in Denver, now I know Denver won over in Europe recently, but for the most part, he's been struggling, and the Bears only have 3 wins. To me, usually an assistant that gets the job is someone that at least makes the playoffs.
Yep, indeed. Another question here is from Ravi. He says, I enjoy watching the Bears. Is this what it feels like to have an NFL big boy offense? It's true. It's like we've never really experienced something where we can say, hey, if we get into a shootout, we could potentially win this game. So,
but I don't even know if that's – I don't want to be Dan Wiederer today.
Okay.
I'm just Dan Aguirre, but Wiederer, is always Mr. Negative, and I'll stand by my opinion. As his tweet conveyed on Sunday, that he was like, Fields, he had all these great yards, but what about his passing? How about the 3 touchdowns? But to agree with that for a moment, and this is also a positive point, because you're saying, we could be better. It's still like there's so many things that we could do better, like running that ball with Khalil Herbert or David Montgomery. We've got to get that fixed. I don't know what's going on there. The running stats have been skewed as of late because of Justin's individual brilliance. And for some reason, if he would go down, I don't think the offense is playing that well, to be honest with you. I think Justin's playing that well.
Yeah.
What I'm saying? And I like 15. I like him. I think Trevor Simeon's a good backup. I thought he played well in Denver when he had to. But I don't know if the offense is scoring 32 points on Sunday with Trevor in there. I think it's just the individual brilliance and the magnificent play of Justin Fields. And I'm not late to the game here. I've been praising him, and shout out to Sonny as well. Jovanovic. I mean, he was, on this as well. And I'm going to pound my chest a little bit and say I've been on this guy's bandwagon, and he's proven to everybody he's a player, man.
Shout out to King Pookie Nation, Beto Alvarez, who every time we've done something with getting Barflies together, he's like the first one there. He's been such a great supporter, and he asked the question, how close are we? I said earlier, 2023 playoffs, 2024 Super Bowl. What do you think? Do you have a shorter timeline than that?
I mean, there's still time this year. I'm not saying you're going to win the Super Bowl. There's still time. Teams make moves. Like, I remember, okay, just to give you a quick one, Jacksonville, 1996, 4-7. And then back then there was only 16 games. 4-7. They win their last 5, and they go all the way to the AFC Championship. They lost ultimately in New England. They beat John Elway in Denver that day. and they go from 4-7 to 9-7. How about the Giants? They were like under 500. They come into Chicago in 2007, beat us on the lakefront, and then eventually go on a string there where they win every game except the finale against New England, and then end up beating New England in the Super Bowl, whom was undefeated. But it all started by beating the Bears and going on a run. So maybe, I mean, until it hasn't happened, it could still happen.
Yep. All right, let's get to our media mashup. You mentioned Dan Wiederer in that tweet. He's going to be asked about that.
Oh, God.
I wish I would have written down a log of everything we've got. I've got lots of really good material. As I said earlier in the show, it's all of it is from ESPN 1000 and the Score Sports Radio. Dan, I want to do something a little different. We've touched on it. We've done it a little bit in the past, but your mic is going to be hot throughout this. So at any point, if you want to stop the audio and comment on something, let's do that. Let's have a little fun, a little something different.
Like Mystery Science Theater.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. By the way, I've only seen like maybe 2 or 3 of those. I need to find where those are because I really want to sit down and watch those because the concept is so good. And I love those cheesy black and white movies that they really focused on with their commentary. Who was behind that? Do you know? Was there,
I don't recall. My high school girlfriend had me watch those all the time, though. That was her shit. And, it was pretty good.
Yeah. All right. Here we go with our media mashup.
Well, we have information here. I don't know if it's breaking news or not, but we finally have figured out the name of the official. It is Tim Donaghy.
No, it's not.
Oh,
number 25, Ryan Dixon, not Tim Donaghy.
I'm sorry. Brad, I'm sorry. I misspoke.
Field judge.
Yeah.
Missed the call.
Missed the pass interference at the end.
Humor is not a strength of Mully in the Hawk Show.
But that was funny. He's talking about that official that fixed games in the NBA.
That was fun. It was a funny line, but it was not delivered with comedic timing like you.
No, I agree with you there. I did laugh, though, because it was that NBA official that admitted games were fixed.
Indeed.
End of the game.
Yeah, I mean, that was pass interference. And you're going to see that from time to time where there's a call that looks like it should be made and it isn't. They had called the same cornerback earlier in the game for pass interference against the same receiver. Keon Crossan got called for that early in the first quarter. I think it was the third snap that Chase Claypool was on the field. And they threw the flag in that instance. It was 28 yards. It would have put them in field goal range and put them close to being able to get a go-ahead touchdown at the very end. So that has to be disappointing. I'm sure the Bears will turn the play into the league for hey, can we get some clarification on if this should have been pass interference, just so we know. But other than that, it's not going to do a whole lot for them as they tie a bow on this one and begin preparation for the Detroit Lions.
All right, Brad. So I love the comparison you made to Devin Hester in your 10 thoughts on ChicagoTribune.com with Justin Fields. I think when you look at the ridiculous nature, as Jeff Joniak referred to him, or just the special quality that we saw yesterday, it felt like even though this was the 19th start for Justin Fields in his NFL career, the start of something else, the start of something that is going to be one of those days where you look back, and I was there the day that Justin Fields broke the record, and it could be the start of something bigger and better. How would you put it into perspective?
I think the last 3 weeks have been impressive.
I'm sorry, Dan, did you say something?
Yeah, I got something for you. I just wanted to point out, he said that he was there, being David Haw. Mm-hmm. You and I can say we were there for Fields' first start in Cleveland and his record-breaking run in in Chicago against Miami. So we were at both of those important Justin Fields games.
We need to finish that trilogy, Dan. Oh, hold on, let me put me on camera here. We need to finish that trilogy, Dan, and that means that Vikings game that you and I are going to, that final regular season game, has to be another Justin Fields monumental game where he says, motherfuckers, I did it. I got us into the playoffs, or motherfuckers, watch out for me in 2023. I'm going to kick the NFL's ass with my talents.
I agree. That'll be great. I mean, just the dichotomy between that first start and what we saw yesterday is almost like holding your baby. Not that I'm a parent, but like holding a baby and then seeing him graduate high school.
I love it.
Impressive with how he's able to help put the offense in position to score. And yesterday, how he's able to score for the offense. What he accounted for 4 touchdowns, a career high 3 touchdown passes, the 161-yard run. You know, they've scored 94 points the last 3 weeks, and I wrote about it last night. I believe that 6 times in the Super Bowl era, the Bears have had games where they've at least a 3-game stretch where they've scored 29 points or more, and that's what they're in right now. So it's sort of uncharted territory in these parts. This doesn't happen very often. The quarterback's job is to help put points on the board, so he's being very effective in that matter the last 3 weeks, and so therefore there's definitely reason for some excitement and optimism as they try to grow this thing. And you go back to the mini bye that they had after the bad loss on Thursday night to the Commanders, and they talked about trying to play to the strength of their players and sort of minimize the weaknesses. And I think we've seen the coaching staff do a really good job of that in the 3 games since that loss.
I'm so glad that Adeptus mentioned Andrew Giannacco, because if we do lose Luke Getsy, if this offense continues to progress and continues to average 30 points a game, then Luke Getsy probably will get a head coaching job somewhere. And so I immediately panic when we start to lose great coaches. When Buddy Ryan left, I cried. And if we're going to lose Luke Getsy, the idea of Giannacco filling in could at least placate me or just make me feel better. What do you think about that?
Did you cry when Greg Landry left?
I cried when he was signed.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sorry. What was the question again? I fucked it up.
Do you have any concerns at all about Luke Getsy potentially leaving the Chicago Bears?
Because you don't want Justin with a third different coordinator in year 3. Then you're starting to get into Cutler territories. That's what hurt Jay so much.
Oh my gosh, you're so right. Greg Gabriel pointed out today that Fields has had 4 different coordinators in 5 seasons when you go back to his college career. He was at Georgia, went to Ohio State, and then Nagy and now Getsy. So that's 4 different coordinators in 5 years. Not a good thing. So
and how many of those, like earlier we were asking about Frank Reich, how many of the Philadelphia people have been successful outside of Doug Peterson that were on that staff? I mean, we already had DiFilippo, whom, both of us liked, and he had those videos that you referenced that were so phenomenal and teaching, and just he knows his shit, but they just can't keep a gig. That coaching tree.
Cliff is saying, stop being Debbie Downers. Getsy will be here next year. Okay, Cliff, I hope so.
I don't think that's Debbie Downer. I mean, I love Cliff, but I'm just saying I don't know if we're being Debbie Downer. I think Getsy might be here just because we're not winning enough as of right now.
Right. It usually these young coaches that get these opportunities are coming from winning teams. It's I can't think of anyone off the top of my head, one of these young offensive geniuses who got hired when their team didn't make the playoffs.
And the Denver thing's got to hurt him too. With his buddy from Green Bay just being so, average to below average right now as well. So
very good point. Very good point. All right. Tom Thayer, this one is dedicated to you.
Not because I like to have you be disappointed, but I like the fact that you're viewing this game the way that I would expect you to view this game. You're in the minority in Chicago. You know that. You've been here long enough to realize why. I'm just curious, from your perspective, how do you think this is viewed, and what is the tone or the mood at Hallis Hall this morning because of what they saw and what they see happening with Justin Fields despite everything else that's going on and what may be negative. How are they balancing things out in terms of their emotions at Hallis Hall?
Well, to me, when we get to talk to Matt Eberflus immediately following the game, and he comes and Jeff says, "Give us your perspective on the game," and he's got a lot of glowing stats that do support a positive performance about the offense. And yeah, when you add a historic running event by a quarterback, a lot of other numbers happen to work out in the right direction. But ultimately, it's a supporting cast game. How does your defense complement your offense and vice versa? And then how does your special teams complement both facets? And you gave up the punt for the touchdown. The defense really didn't stop anybody. So there's a lot of nice things to say about the quarterback position. But to me, I kept thinking in my mind during the broadcast of the game of Randall Cunningham in the 80s. Here's a guy that is such a dynamic athlete. If you rushed him and he head faked you, he was going to turn it into a 60-yard run just like Justin does. And if you don't have a solid performance by everybody, it's impressive to watch a dynamic quarterback like that, but it is still about how all the pieces fit in together. So, listen, I'm excited about the development of Justin Fields. There's no doubt about it. I think this guy's got a super bright future. But, the physicalness of the quarterback has got to be determined by the quarterback. If he's just running on an emergency kind of eject the pocket type of a feel, then you're adding that physical element to the position and to what it does to a body over a 17-game period of time. So you need everything to complement everything, or you just don't want to go to the podium after the game and talk about how great the quarterback did, but you still lost the game. You want to talk about wins and how it affects your future, and are you ultimately trying to get yourself in position to win the division? And that's got to be your goal. It's not about having this asterisk next to Justin's name in the Chicago Bears record book that is the greatest running, by a quarterback in history. When you think of guys like Bobby Douglas or Vince Evans, and I heard you guys talking about Sid Luckman and his lack of running ability, but so yeah, listen, I'm a Bears fan, and I want to see him to go 17-0 every year, but that's just not going to happen. And I am excited to see the development of Justin and what Chase Claypool and Cole Kmet and Darnell Mooney and the rest of the guys can do to help this offense and the running game. But it's going to be about team improvement to win games and win the game.
Dan, I dedicated that clip to you because when he started talking about, that he was disappointed that we did not win, it mirrored your feelings after the game. You were definitely happy with Justin Fields' performance, but you were so upset that the Bears did not win this thing. So
I was, man, I was in the dumps. A couple of thoughts. First off, Tom Thayer is so good as an analyst, just fucking amazing. Silky smooth. Just perfect at it. I like Jeff. I do. I don't know if, as bad as I hate to say it, I don't know if Jeff's better than the traitor that went to Green Bay, Wayne. But Tom's so good. I love the comparison to Randall Cunningham. I think I made that myself earlier in the year. He reminds me, Fields, at least the potential of like Randall Cunningham, Steve McNair, the late Steve McNair, or maybe early John Elway, although Elway's arm was superior to Fields. That's true. But Elway ran like that early on in his career. But Randall Cunningham's probably the best comparison. But yes, the loss, it was demoralizing. Because we just thought, and I think you have some video that you can show later. Like there was a sequence where if it was because the defense hadn't stopped anybody all day. If it's third down or fourth down, I was like, okay, I can't watch. And I put my head down. And then every time I didn't watch, the Bears suddenly started getting off the field. And it was amazing because it happened like 2 straight series or 3 straight series, whatever. And you just thought, okay, we've gotten the ball back. Oh, we didn't score. But we got the ball back after a punt that we all debated. And it's like, okay, now we're going to at least tie it. Now we're going to tie it. And then when that didn't happen, it's just like Dan was looking at me. Look at me, Dan. Look in my eyes. We're going to win this game. We're going to win this game. Remember that?
Yes.
Let me give a shout out to Dan again too. I told you this privately, but camaraderie I'm not used to because again, not being around Bears fans, and even at the game, I'm not the guy that's like trying to seek out people I don't know, or not that Dan doesn't know me, but I'm not giving high fives and stuff. I'm just talking to you basically. Mm-hmm. So for him to kind of force me to do something that's not really how I really am, but it was so fun. It was so fun. Just first down, let's high five everybody. Fuck it, let's hug. Like let's do everything you weren't supposed to do when the pandemic started. But it was so fun. The day was so fun. We had good weather. It was sunny, just everything. It felt like we're in the middle of a game. He's gonna do it. He's gonna do it. And then when it didn't happen, it did leave me in the dumps, man. It did. Because I thought that was another game we should have won.
I got to share this based on what you just said. It reminded me that at this game Sunday, there was a guy a row or two back, and whenever there was a great Bears play, this motherfucker would grab me and start shaking me.
Yeah, I remember that.
Like,
I thought you knew him.
No, I had no idea who this guy was. At first, I was like, yeah, cool. Yeah, we're great touchdown. The second time, okay, not too hard here. I'm going to fucking break my neck. And the third time, I was ready to turn around. Dude, stop it already. But the thing is that it reminded me, gosh, and I wish I had your memory as to timelines, but the Bears were playing the Cardinals late in the season. It was snowing. It was really cold. The Bears
79?
79. Thank you. The Bears needed to win that game to get into the playoffs.
They had to win by 30 or whatever it was because, not to interrupt your story, but Washington was at Dallas that day. The Bears needed Washington to lose, and Washington had a 13-point lead with like 2 minutes to go, and they lost by one. Staubach in his last win ever threw a touchdown to Tony Hill that saved the Bears. But not only did the Bears need Washington to lose, they needed to win by at least 30, and they did. And another fun fact from that game, not so fun, that's when Muggs Hallis died.
Yes, that's right. We arrived at the game with news that Muggs had died. But at that point, I didn't know much about, the hierarchy with the family, but it was clear that he was going to be the next guy in charge, and that his dad had kind of set things up for him to be the man, but he died unexpectedly. But at that game, my buddy, we used to call him Valachi because he looked like Charles Bronson. And Valachi brought a portable TV set with the antenna. And so we were watching the game on TV, battery-powered TV, and being there. And so the Valachi papers, indeed, Tush, exactly. We as kids, we went to go see that movie, and my friend Luis Ortiz was given the name Valachi because he had pockmarks from his acne and stuff, and he looked like Charles Bronson. But in any case, at that game, I'm announcing the game. I'm looking down at my monitor. We had similar seats where we had this previous game, but not quite as good, closer to the field. But I'm looking at the monitor and I'm saying, Peyton to the 15, to 10, to 5, touchdown. And this guy from behind me is grabbing me and doing the same thing. It was such a great memory. But this past Sunday, it was a little too much. Anyway, here we go.
Before you start up again, we should wait till later, but I think you should tell everyone the wheelchair story too.
Oh yeah, I'll share it now. I shared it on the Gabriel Talks Football show today. At the end of the game, I'm walking out. Dan and I are walking out, and this woman with beautiful, beautiful light blue eyes. She's seated in a wheelchair, and she says, "Hey, aren't you Aldo? Don't you do a podcast with Greg Gabriel?" And I go, "Yes." She goes, "Oh, I love your show. I've listened to a lot of Bears podcasts, and it's all white. She didn't say a white man. It's all middle-aged men whining about the Bears.
She's talking about me, and that's okay.
I did think that immediately, Dan, when she said
I agree. Greg's not whining. He's telling people to go fuck themselves.
That's right. She was here, and then you were right behind her in my field of vision. So when she said that, I kind of looked up at you. But it was a tremendous compliment from a very lovely lady, and so that was another one of the highlights of a fucking great weekend. All right, back to
it was like between that and, like I said, just the camaraderie. Even though the guy was about to put you in traction, grabbing you. I just, like I said, I'd never had that before. I thought that I had like the time of my life during that. I guess you could say, to use a cliche. Hell, after this is over, we should bring another Dan on.
Yeah,
that would be fun.
That would be fun. And the Tucci standing by as well. So.
Oh yeah. I can't forget Mr. Santucci, who was also good to see again on Saturday.
And I can't wait for his Bear State of Affairs, which I can see that he's writing right now as we're talking. He's laughing. No, he's not. Okay. Here we go. Media mashup.
Stealing my bit. Yesterday you're doing what I'm often accused of when you tweeted out Justin Fields' 178 rushing yards, I believe, establish a new regular season NFL single game record for a quarterback. Still, when the Bears needed to throw it late, they couldn't do it. We're all dancing around with our pants off here, and you're like, well, wait a second, stop having fun.
So I think that one got misinterpreted a little bit. I can tell you that I tweeted that before getting on the elevator to go down to post game, and by the time I got down to the bottom of the elevator, there was like 1,000 comments on it. Like it was the fastest commented tweet in the history of my Twitter life. And really, I was.
See that, Dan? That's what he wants. That's
so
why
is he being Steve Rosenblum? Is what you're thinking?
Yes. Jay Mariotti, Steve Rosenblum. I mean, the thing about Dan Wiederer, and I love his writing. He's an outstanding writer. He knocks out 2,700 words or whatever it is, or used to for the Sunday newspaper. The fucking Sunday Tribune now is about 2 pages thick for the sports section anyway. But he writes beautifully and he has interesting thoughts. And I really do believe he's a nice guy, but I think he's taking that page out of who did you just mention again?
Steve Rosenblum.
Steve Rosenblum, the Jay Mariottis, the Colin Cowards. They want to rile up the.
So he's a wrestling bad guy.
Yeah, I really do believe it. I mean, just listen to what he just said. I think that he's tweeting things out and sometimes writes things out to get a reaction from people. It'll get him a name. There's been some words. There's been some reports that he was upset that he was not given that ESPN 1000 job and ESPN
for Jeff Dickerson.
And Courtney Cronin got that instead of him, and she's a new person in town. She covered the Vikings. Now she's in Chicago. ESPN is trying to make her a star, and Dan is Wiederer. I wonder, I'm not saying this is true, but I wonder if he is just a little bit upset that he was bypassed for that. And if I was him, I would be upset too, because I think he's a talented guy, like I said. But Courtney is really good too. So
I don't like Dan, and I said on Twitter a few years ago that I called him Mr. Negativity, and he got really salty responding to me, if you recall. But yeah, I'm not a fan of Mr. Wiederer because of his bullshit takes. His hot takes, just pandering.
Yeah. And I agree with Ryan. He's not nearly as hot as Courtney Cronin. You know what? I would much rather. Well, I better not go there. I think my wife is watching tonight's show. Anyway, here we go. Back to the media match.
He's not trying to rain on the parade that was yesterday for Justin Fields. It was just a thought at the final gun there that there was a golden opportunity there to really put the punctuation on the day with 2 drives to either take the lead or at least tie the game, and they didn't get it done. Stop! You go back and look at those last 2 drives. They had 12 passing plays.
My cursor disappeared on me.
10 seconds. Fields did lead a drive when he needed to pass. One pass was dropped by St. Brown, and the other one was a bullshit non-call. So you can't say Fields was unable or incapable of leading the game-tying or game-winning drive when most people would say, fair-minded people, that he did enough to win. But go ahead.
You are absolutely right. I am so glad you pointed that out. It's like, was Dan Wiederer really watching the game and didn't notice the drop passes, didn't notice that passes like to Chase Claypool should have been completed if it wasn't for this blatant ass fucking by the Dolphins defensive back? I mean, he would have had 100 more yards passing if it wasn't for the drops and bad penalty calls.
They were trying to give Claypool a circumcision on the field.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they didn't even call a flag. I mean, or throw a flag. Man, come on, man. See, I don't even want to hear Wiederer. He's just, like you said, he's just saying shit to try to please give me attention.
Should I skip his section?
Oh, if you want to keep playing, I'm not telling you how to play quarterback here. I'm just saying that he's begging like just for clicks and responses, and I mean, I guess we all are. Fuck. So maybe I'm being disingenuous by attacking him.
No, it's fun to attack him. Somebody said something that I would drink Corny Cronin's bathwater. I can't find it. All right, back to it.
They only came away with 2 completions for 3 yards, right? Which tells you that there's still some things going a little bit haywire with your passing game. They are still dead last in the NFL by a country mile in passing yardage, and we all acknowledge that needs to get better. Now, that said, it was an incredibly electric day for Justin Fields. It was an incredibly promising day for the Chicago Bears offense. There is no denying any of that. It was a huge step in a month that has included a bunch of huge steps. And so you see where the arrow is pointed. Now it's all about just trying to figure out how you can continue this run and make sure it becomes consistent for who you are. I can tell you, both sitting at the game yesterday and feeling entertained as an observer, and then rewatching it and being like, wow, this is a lot different experience than some of the rewatches of September or even 2021 or 20 or 19. There's something happening here, and there's no question that the Bears have to figure out how to.
Some respect. They lack talent by design. It's transitional year, paying guys to not be on the team.
Disaster by design, as David Haw put it.
Oh, I didn't hear that. Yeah, but that's what it is. With intention.
Coordinated catastrophe.
Yeah, it's.
By the way, Dan, on today's Gabriel Talks Football, another outstanding show by Greg, he said, what's his first name? Parkins. David Parkins? No. Gosh, do you know his first name? I'm forgetting it.
I forget it as well.
I'm a big fan of Parkins, so I'm embarrassed that I'm forgetting his name. But Danny Parkins, thank you.
Yes.
Greg Gabriel says Dan Parkins doesn't know shit about football. I gotta isolate that and send it to Dan Parkins on his Twitter timeline and get a fight going between those two guys.
I like Parkins better than I do the Bernstein.
Yeah, the thing with both Parkins and Bernstein, I don't necessarily agree with them, but I do think they are talented broadcasters. It's like I was talking to Buffon about that when he was at the house this weekend, and I said, Colin Cowherd, he's an idiot, but the guy is a talented broadcaster. And Buffon pointed out that he read Colin Cowherd's book, and Cowherd said, I'm purposely opinionated even on things that I don't know much about, because I can always say, I'm sorry, I was wrong. And he does. And that's not a bad approach to being a broadcaster. Say something outrageous, and then if you're wrong, admit it, and then go ahead and say something outrageous again. That's not what I want to be as a broadcaster, or have been as a broadcaster, but it seems to work for some people.
I'll say something outrageous. Dan Wiederer has a small cock.
I'll send them that one too.
They're not trying to lose, obviously, but they're trying to evaluate a roster and maximize flexibility for next offseason and beyond, and purge the roster of the guys that aren't quote unquote theirs, keep the few who they really like, and then build around them.
Darnell Mooney loves everything that's going on. Now, he's on an offense that didn't trade away 2 veteran captains. They traded for Chase Claypool. But he said after the game, I don't see any flaws in our organization. That's what Darnell Mooney said about the whole thing. He loves what the coaches are doing, what the GM's doing. That's just a young buck, a 5th-round pick who's making his name in the NFL. But he sees what they're doing, and these guys know what's happening. And the sad part is it's not about those guys on defense. I mean, it's nice that Jack Sanborn is sliding in and doing his thing. Like, good for you, Nick Morrow. Justin Jones is playing his ass off. He's playing hard as the 3 tech and showing up. Everybody else on that D-line, I don't know who's the future and who's not among everybody, literally everybody else on that D-line.
Texter says none of those front 7 defensive players will be starting in 2 years, and they shouldn't be on any NFL team. Are we sure Poles can acquire real talent? Let's forget the can Poles acquire real talent piece for a second, because time will tell on that. That's an interesting thought exercise. I love those. When the Bears win their next playoff game, how many players on this current team do you think are on that team?
It's a great question, because Dan Wiederer brought it up. There are 4 people on this roster who were on the team that lost to Philly in the double doink. That kind of blew my mind. Eddie Jackson, Cody Whitehair,
Patrick Scales,
and DeAndre Houston Carson. That's it, who are on this team. And I know that feels pretty recent, but that's how quick things go. That's how quick the turnover is. I don't know if they'll turn over from their own guys as aggressively as they turned over from Ryan Pace's guys.
No, they won't, but how many of these guys are really their own guys? Or are these guys transitional pieces, right? They used 5th, 6th, 7th round picks, a lot of undrafted free agents. It's a very, very young roster. Mm-hmm. Next year, you have 2 seconds, 2 fourths, 2 fifths. You have more draft capital. You got more free agent space. There's going to be some of these guys are placeholders right now. Some guys might be placeholders who are starting on this offense.
Right,
on
Dominic Robinson, Travis Gibson, Armon Watts. I mean, those are your starters on the D-line other than Justin Jones.
Yeah, I mean, it's double digits, I would think. If you think they're winning a playoff game in the next 3 years, it's definitely going to be double digits. But it's, the foundational pieces that are here right now, you would say it's Jalen, Justin, Mooney, Kmet, and maybe Eddie Jackson?
Brisker,
and Gordon,
I would assume Brisker and Gordon both.
Yeah.
I was struck by the fact that Kendall Vildor is only 24. They need to get a better cornerback than that, but he is only 24 years old.
Yeah, he's not as bad as we talked about him being last year.
Yeah.
He's not good, but I wouldn't put corner terribly high on my list of offseason priorities.
The prevailing opinion I kept hearing yesterday was, boy, what a hell of a loss. That's how you want to lose. If you're going to lose in spectacular fashion where Justin Fields looks great and the Bears fall just short.
Correct. So that they can get a high draft pick and then whoever that receiver, left tackle, run stuffer defensively, somebody. Oh, we got a stud up front. Mm-hmm. That's what they're all in for. I'm good with it. I'm okay. But here's the question for you. What if the Lions come in and beat them?
Before we go on this, and that's a great question, what if the Lions win? I'm surprised that Cap would say that, because a few years ago, he said something about, I was watching him on the Cap and Haw show, the show that I would watch all the time, and I would call in all the time, as Dan remembers and reminded me that I did. Cap used to say, if the Cubs don't win the World Series, then it's a lost season. So what's the difference here? Why is he now so accepting of the fact that he's willing to accept losses as long as the quarterback progresses? Do you have any idea why he might feel that way, Dan?
I think you're making an excellent point. I don't know. I think there was so much, angst with the Cubs because it had been over 100 years. Maybe that's the comparison, that he thinks that the Bears, maybe it feels more probable that the Bears could do this in a year or two versus the Cubs, and you think it's never going to happen because it hadn't happened. And that's the only excuse I can give you, but I can't tell you Herschel Walker's winning right now.
No, please don't. By the way, what somebody in the chat room said, what's the over-under on Dan having political speeches tonight?
No speech. I just said with 71% reporting, Herschel's in the lead.
So 71%? Holy cow. All right, back to it.
Well, here's what I look at with this, right? Because I'll go and tell everyone, because I know we have new listeners every day. My initial thought for the Bears was 7-10. And I said 7-10, not because I thought the Bears would be good, because you and I are in lockstep when we talk about the lack of talent and playmakers on this football team. You knew what the plan was for Poles when he got here. Some are late to the party when it comes to understanding the plan. You and I knew that this was a rebuild trying to get better for year 2, year 3 moving forward. So my point is that when it comes to losing to bad teams, okay, that's irksome to me. Against the Dolphins, against the Dallas Cowboys, Cap, that's going to happen. The Bears have lost 5 of their last 6, and a lot to pretty good teams. So losing against the Lions stings a little bit because there will be losses down the road. Not against the Lions, but I believe down the road there'll be losses for the Bears. So I would prefer them not to lose on Sunday.
So if they lose to the Lions, does it undo all of the goodwill that we've engendered the last few weeks where Justin's played this well? Or can people see, hey, man, it's one game, relax, we're going to be okay, it's just going to take time? That, I think if we come in here Monday, Justin got sacked 4 times by Aiden Hutchinson, threw a pick, Bears lost 24-20, people are going to be furious.
Well, yes, if Justin underachieves, because right now he's riding some momentum offensively.
But he's not going to achieve at the level we want every week. No one does.
Yeah, but he's on the upside now, on the upswing.
He's on a heater.
Yeah, against the Patriots, against the Cowboys and the Dolphins, we haven't seen production like this since Eric Kramer on a regular basis. I mean, that he's riding the crest of some good offense right here. So I don't want them to go back. Look, you're going to lose games. I just don't want the offense to go backwards. I'm having a fun time. Even though the Bears have lost 2 of their last 3, I want the offense to still keep percolating in the right direction.
Completely agree, but that's not going to happen every week.
Well, not against
it's not.
We'll do that against.
We watched the Chiefs the other night on Sunday Night Football, and they couldn't get anything going.
We'll do that against the Jets or the Packers. Okay, let's not do it against the Lions. Come on now. The Lions are just not a good football team. It's funny.
I agree with Jay Hood there, but I don't agree about the Packers. I'd rather beat the Packers than the Lions. But I agree. This should be a no-brainer. Greg Gabriel said, I asked him, Greg, why do you think the Bears are going to beat the Lions? And Greg said, because they're a better team. Silence. He said it all. He didn't amplify. He didn't elucidate on it any further than that. The Bears are a better team. You want to make a prediction for Sunday's game, Dan?
I don't like to shit talk the Lions like everybody else does. I remember, again, from the Tressman, Fox, or into early Nagy area, there was a point where they beat us 7 straight times. So I'm not going out on a limb and saying they're going to beat Detroit. They should win. They're at home. How about that?
I think that with the exception of a few positions, like we have a better quarterback, we have better running backs, although that's close. The biggest advantage the Bears have over the Lions this week is the coaching staff. I'm convinced of that. As much as we're down on Alan Williams,
and rightfully so.
Yeah. Pinch punch, you owe me a Coke. Rightfully so. But they've got a bunch of charlatans coaching that team over there. Dan Williams is a charlatan. He doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't know the rules of the game. His idea of leadership is to get emotional and cry. He's a special teams coach. That's what Dan Williams is, because special teams is all about emotion. Mike Ditka is the best example of that. But Mike was able to make the transition to head coach, but it was a painful transition at first. I mean, the guy's temper. I won't get into all that because we got more media clips to. But Dick
Vermeil was emotional as a head coach, and it worked.
That is true. that is true. But Vermeil, I mean, Vermeil was a good delegator. He knew he had with Mike Martz a offensive genius for that era and for that time. And so he allowed Mike Martz to run with the offense. And that's why they won a Super Bowl. Like Mike Ditka hated Buddy Ryan getting all the credit, but he didn't get in Buddy's way very often. You know, the one time that he did was that Miami game. Aside from that, I can't think of any other time that Buddy
hated Ditka getting the credit too, though.
Oh yeah, and I can see that. I can understand that. But anyway, back to our media mashup.
Should have been pass interference, just so we know. But other.
Oh fuck! I lost my place. God damn it! Let's see where we're at here. Oh, well,
we are live, is where we are at 9:40 Central at 10:40 Eastern right now on the Barroom Network.
I love it.
Running backs too, but I don't know if you saw it. Pro Football Talk sent out a story. The Bears are on pace to set their record out of all the great running backs they've had. Sayers, Peyton, Neil Anderson, Forte, on and on and on. This year, they're on pace to set the franchise record for rushing yards. Did you know that?
I'm not surprised because the quarterback's on pace for 1,000 yards.
Yeah. This could be the year they break their record for rushing. But they're also now scoring points.
I'm surprised you didn't ask me to stop it when you said Fields is on track for 1,000 yards, because that's what you were saying repeatedly at the game Sunday.
Yeah. I didn't want to just keep tugging on my own cock, but yeah, that's a good place to stop.
Well, let's be clear here. I'm not tugging on your cock or anybody.
They started out historically bad scoring points.
What was that?
I thought he was going to get 200 on Sunday, honestly.
Well, fuck. He could have, He would have tugged the ball under a couple of times instead of throwing it to Equanimeous St. Brown.
Yeah.
And in a matter of now 9 games, they're scoring 30 a game for the last 3 games.
Pretty incredible.
It's been a great transformation. The line still isn't totally worked out. It's still a work in progress, but it's fantastic. And to me, I took more out of these games and this game in particular against the Dolphins than I did over a playoff year in 2020. So, like, for the people who say it's a loser's mentality to enjoy a loss, I disagree, because I believe this will lead to sustainable wins and winning seasons in the future. I think all those years did was pacify you. I think a singular win just pacifies you. I think when you're upset that they lost, you're too single-minded. You're not looking at the big picture that they may have solved the biggest issue that has stared the Bears in the face for many, many years. But I also believe some people are going way too far saying what we really have right now. This is great to be enthused and to love, but let's take it one step at a time. Like,
Sylvie's making a really good point there. Really good point.
I guess, but maybe this is just like the Bears, Chicago in general seems to, every time we get, I shouldn't say we, I don't live there, but as a fan, every time we get something like whether it's Cutler or something that's supposed to be so good, it just seems to never work out. So maybe I think that all the disappointments are kind of what Mark Silverman is talking about right there. But I guess it's a fair point. But I think like it's okay to be excited too, though, man. This guy's earned his praise. Maybe I bet if he were in any other city right now, there wouldn't be all this yes, but.
Mm-hmm. I agree. By the way, I'm going to ask the current mayor of Chicago, Lori Lightfoot, to make you an honorary citizen of Chicago. It might help her win the election if she follows through on that.
I doubt that.
Yeah, well, I doubt it
the
too.
Election and me helping. So,
just like 4 weeks ago, no one was. We preached 4 weeks ago. Do not stamp the kid with a bust label.
No, patience.
We said this. Do not stamp him with a bust label.
And I would suggest to you, don't usher him into Canton right now either.
Yes. So let's with
exciting. We could see some more of that on Sunday. neither defense has played particularly well. When you think about the matchup this weekend at Soldier Field, both offenses are capable, although Detroit's has taken a big, they've done a big 180 from where they were early in the season. They have not scored points in abundance here in recent weeks. They got shut out a couple of weeks ago. I mean, they went a stretch of 12 quarters, Yurko, where in 10 of those 12, they failed to score a touchdown. That's not a very, so as good as that offense looked in the first month of the season, Detroit's regressed a little, and they traded one of their best weapons away. They've had some injuries they've had to deal with too, but we could see another one of those back and forth, exciting offensive games on Sunday, and it beats the alternative when you almost felt like your team could never get to 17. It was like, well, as long as they can hold the other team to below 17, they've got, it's like, what? In this day and age? And so, I don't know, it's kind of nice. It's been a little bit rewarding. I do agree with you, though. It's time, I think, a little bit for all of us to take a deep breath and say, let's still see. There's still a ways to go. I'll read you what the Ringer wrote in their latest power rankings about the Bears. And, we debated a little bit yesterday, how would we power rank things? Based on some of the advanced metrics and some of the differentials, like I think I still would lean towards Buffalo maybe being number one, but they do have 2 losses. And you said, like it or not, the Eagles are an undefeated team. So in your mind, you said you got to kind of put the Philadelphia Eagles 1, and if you want to put Buffalo 2, put Buffalo 2. That's exactly what the Ringer has done. Philly's 1, Buffalo's 2, KC's 3. We totally agreed with that. The Bears check in 26th on the latest power rankings. And this is what they write. Well, we've never been so happy to have our team ranked 26th. The good news for the Bears is that Justin Fields continues to look better every week, and the offense is finally catering to his strengths with an increased number of design runs. Is that losing in Week 9 only benefits where the rebuilding Bears will pick in next year's draft, and they still are projected to have $45 million more cap space than any other team. No one should bet Chicago at plus 1550 to make the playoffs this season, but signs continue to point to a significant turnaround next season. Ooh, makes me warm and tingly a little bit. Like, we've never been so excited to have a 26th ranked team, but I think we're starting to see there's some stuff for this offense to build on. A lot of work still needs to be done. And these last 8 games, I think, are important. Can Justin continue to develop, and how do they integrate Chase Claypool into everything?
That is our media mashup for this week. What'd you think, Dan?
It was good shit. I don't have an opportunity to listen as much as I used to. So I used to do those early on, but I didn't get to listen to it because of travel and stuff. I didn't get to listen to anybody's post game this week. So I would have liked to have heard more people bitching about that pass interference call myself, but.
Yeah, as I was putting this thing together, I was so busy. When I have the Gabriel show on Tuesday, it gives me less time to work on it. And so when I started putting it together, I'm like, man, there's so many other topics that I'd love to cover on this, but I just don't have time. And I wanted to cut together a highlight reel of our event on Saturday. So let me play that real quick and just I'll tell you guys, I slapped this thing together. It doesn't have the production value that I like to put on stuff. But I want to thank, first and foremost, my wife, Donna, for organizing this event at King's Entertainment for the Barflies and Barroom show hosts. We had a fucking fantastic time. We had a great attendance. Foster Covers was there. Laz was there. Who was the guy again? That JB?
Jay Bonds. Think of Barry Bonds. Barry Bonds.
Yeah. So I cut together a short version of some of the activity from this week's action at King's Entertainment, and my hope is that those of you watching will say, "Shit, that looks like a really fucking good time. Next year, I'm gonna go." Here it is. On your conversation, go ahead.
We're talking about functional medicine.
Oh, okay. Bye.
So what's your prediction for Justin Fields? Is he going to be an all-star, superstar quarterback?
100%. 100%. The past 2 weeks haven't shown you that. I can't help you. He's the future. He's the future.
I love that. I love that thinking.
Yeah.
Is there anything about his play that worries you?
He's just got to be quicker with his decision making, but that's going to get better over time. He's a young quarterback. I think we got a good one. We got a good one.
Anything about Justin Fields' play that worries you?
Yeah, his pocket awareness. Also, he's got to stay healthy. Can't take those hits. We're gonna need him later on as we build the team. So build the team around him. So yeah, that's important.
There is one other thing. He's not a Puerto Rican. What is your level of confidence that Justin Fields is going to be a franchise all-star quarterback?
9.
I like 9.
Yeah.
I like 9.
Well, it's either all or nothing, right?
You're all in?
All in. He's a 10. He's a 10.
John?
I will go 8.5.
But not because of him, but because of what we've seen the Bears do to quarterbacks. I have all the confidence in the world in Justin Fields. I gotta have more confidence in the Chicago franchise. But I love the kid.
Justin Fields or Gary Huff?
That's a show in itself.
Didn't Doug play with Gary Hunt?
And Bobby Douglas.
Bobby Douglas.
Yeah.
I love Bobby Douglas.
I'm a big fan of Bobby Douglas.
Absolutely.
But I don't know, Laz. I think his answer deserves an ass kicking. You guys take care of that, all right? How are you girls?
We're having fun.
Oh, I love
Thank
it.
you, Chicago Barfly Barroom. Aldo. Bravo. Beso. Hola, bien.
¿Te gustan los osos de Chicago?
Me gustan los osos de Chicago.
My Spanish is good,
Go there.
I love you. Guys having a good time?
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, baby!
Oh, yeah!
In other news today, when we
It went back. Did you see that?
How did Daddy do?
Terrible. If I get it. I wanted it. Look, I'm just picking. This thing weighs about 800 pounds.
Oh, sorry, Mike.
That's all right.
Oh,
I shot at 83.
a fucking good time. And one of the things that made it such a good time was the opportunity to see so many of the kids there, Tuch's kids and a bunch of other kids there. Danny Shimon brought his son, and you know, this is definitely an R-rated show, but we love kids. I love kids. I know Dan Aguirre, you know, has kids that he's never met.
No, don't say that.
I'm just kidding. But Dan, do you like kids?
I feel like I do the best I can around kids. Like I don't feel 100% confident that I'm connecting with them well enough. But
really,
yeah, I mean,
tell me more.
Well, you know, I mean, I don't want to use words that are too big for them, but I don't want them to think that I'm not interested in what they're saying. It's just I don't know if I'm saying the right things. You know, like I certainly don't want to be dirty around them or something like that, but I don't want them to think I'm just some boring old guy either. So, but I don't know necessarily how to connect with like teenage kids, but I mean, I try for sure.
Yeah, I like to think of myself as kind of a cool guy with the kids and so forth. And so I went over to Danny Shimon's son and I said, "Hey, you fucking any girls at school?" I didn't go over real well. No, I'm just kidding. But I did ask him, "Do you have a girlfriend?" And man, when I said that, his expression changed. He went over to his father and he started like punching his dad and stuff. And I'm like, he really wants to be punching me. I'm sorry, Danny. He thought I was trying to embarrass him and stuff, but I was just trying to get a smile out of him. But I love kids. My point of bringing that up is that next year's event too will definitely be fan friendly or family friendly, and hopefully we'll get some more people.
Well, that kind of was Saturday, right? I mean, wouldn't you consider that? I mean, there was some booze. I don't know if that means family friendly means there's no booze. I was going to say, other than that, I mean, there was a couple of times maybe myself said, "God damn it, if I didn't get the spare," but for the most part, I think it was still a family friendly event this week.
Absolutely, that's what we intended to do, and I think we were successful. Besides, other than my stupid comments to Danny Shimon's son. And by the way, how did you bowl?
I won that game that we finally played, but it wasn't like anything you should brag about it. I think I finished with like a fucking 89 or something, but somehow still won 91. Maybe it was not good, but I still won the game. If victory is what matters, then I was victorious.
Well, I got to tell you, I saw you bowling, and as you bowled more and more, you got better and better, and you have a really interesting stroke. I mean, the ball is in the air for 25 yards before it starts rolling. I've never seen that before in a bowler before.
I don't know how to bowl, man. I just go. I mean, plus again, I was suffering from carpal tunnel really badly too. So not to make any excuses, that's not the reason I didn't bowl better. I hadn't bowled in a few years, and yeah, I mean, I just kind of wing it, I'm certainly not a pro like Mike North was. Like, he took a class, he said.
Yeah, and Mike is a competitor. He was really upset when he didn't hit a strike or didn't pick up a spare. He was pissed, man. He's a super competitor. I worked on his biography material, and when he says he sometimes regrets that he was such a competitor because he feels like maybe he was an asshole towards other people.
I know.
God.
I did that. I know my ex-wife would tell me that she hated going bowling with me because I would get so mad at myself. Like, my best game ever was a 230. And then like the game I followed that up with was 95. I can't get consistent. And I used to care a lot, and she, would say I was alienating her by just being competitive. So I tried to transition to that and say, let's just have fun with it. And if I look stupid, then so be it. And I tried. I did the best I could, and I didn't want to be an asshole to anybody or seem uptight about not bowling greatly, No,
you did good. By the way, Retro's comments that Aldo, you can be cool but remain the court mandate 100 feet distance is the chat comment of the show. Well, congratulations, Retro. All right, is Johnny Santucci ready to have some fun? All right, here's what I'm going to do, Tooch. Just something we never planned this, but I'm going to roll your open, the Bear State of Affairs open, and when it's done, you're going to be full screen, and you fucking take it over and crush it. Okay, brother? Oh, man, look how nervous he is. All right, here it comes. The Bears' State of Affairs. I believe I got it queued up right here. Oh, shit. Wrong guy.
Hey, that's not Tooch. There he is. All right. Bears State of Affairs, Barflies, Week 8. The good, the bad, and the traded. Week 9, run, Justin, run. Well, Barflies, last Sunday's game against the Dolphins was an exciting back-and-forth offensive fireworks show that featured several lead changes, and as Bears fans have come to expect, a chance at the end of the game for the Bears to win it. And maybe also a special teams gaffe that probably cost us the win. That's become part of the script too. Although the Bears came up short, losing 35-32, it felt like a win because it was a Justin Fields coming out party. The franchise quarterback of the Bears ran for an NFL record 178 yards, the highest single game total in NFL history for a regular season game. If that wasn't enough, Fields also had a 61-yard touchdown run, the longest touchdown run by Bears quarterback in team history, and it was a thing of beauty. Yes, the Bears finally have a running back that could take it to the house. The great thing is he plays quarterback. And much like the Cowboys, the Dolphins defense did not have an answer for Justin Fields scrambling. After another first down run by Fields, the Dolphins were so flustered, even their head coach told Fields on the sidelines to stop running. Just knock it off, man. Offensive coordinator Luke Getsy called a great game, and the Bears had a really good offensive game plan. There were play fakes, quarterback runs and rollouts, play action passes, all deftly executed by Fields, who sold the fakes like a seasoned veteran. Even Bears fan Dan had to be surprised that Cole Kmet caught not one, but 2 touchdown passes. Yes, the Bears offense went toe-to-toe with the high-flying Miami offense, nearly matching them score for score. Too bad the Bears were also playing versus the officiating crew. You know, I hate to be that guy who blames it on the officials. Fuck it. I'm going to be that guy. I got to be that guy. That was absolutely fucking blatant pass interference, and plays like these seemingly never go the Bears' way. On 3rd and 10 with a minute and a half left of the game on the line, newly acquired wide receiver Chase Claypool was mugged a full 2 seconds before the ball arrived. Unbelievably, the official standing 4 feet from the play did not throw a flag. What the F? Bears fans could only ask themselves when, if ever, will the Bears be respected enough to start getting these calls. We do know a few things here at midseason. This is the closest we've ever been to a big-time franchise quarterback. This is an exciting young Bears offense led by an exciting young player who has a chance to be one of the NFL's next big shining stars. We know that this season, the Bears are a million times more exciting than the miserable Packers, and it feels pretty great. We know that this season, Justin Fields has a higher quarterback rating than Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence, Kirk Cousins, Kyler Murray, Jimmy Garoppolo, Matt Stafford, Ryan Tannehill, Russell Wilson, Jason Goff, Carson Wentz, Mac Jones, Zach Wilson, a checked-out, drug-addled Aaron Rodgers, and even the GOAT, Tom Brady. So where are you at, Bears fans? Are you loving this young quarterback? Imagine Fields in this offense next year with 1 year of experience, a better offensive line, and more weapons. I wonder where all the Fields is a bust fans are after this last game. Yes, there are a lot of questions after this game. How will the defense stop teams? How will opposing teams game plan for Fields? Can the Bears ride Justin Fields to a playoff berth at a weak NFC this year? Bears fan Dan probably thinks so. So why can't we? If anything, Week 9 has given Bears fans optimism, hope, and a reason to watch every week. The Vikings are building their NFC North lead. The Packers are floundering after a loss to next week's opponents, the hapless Lions. And that is Bears State of Affairs.
That was your absolute best. That was sensational. Really, really nice job, Tooch.
Did I get it
really
all?
Nice.
I got every little spot.
You underlined it and exclamation pointed it. Dan, you got any problems with Tooch's?
No, I loved it when he said, "Fuck it, let's do it anyway." You know, the complaining about the official. I mean, I wish something would come out of that for real. Like, there's got to be some accountability. Last season in Pittsburgh, we got that bullshit fucking taunting call that cost us the game, and this year, the Zach Miller play, you know, in 2017. It's just, God, you don't want to be the victim, but I mean, this shit's happening, and if it is happening, it's and you're intellectually honest about it, it doesn't make you a fucking whiner or something to acknowledge that this shit's going on.
Right. Absolutely.
I watched the game. This is the second time I watched. I watched it again today before the show, you know, because I was talking about how I saw Jack Sanborn like catch Tyreek Hill from behind. He kind of like dove and caught his foot, you know, but still.
Well, that was a nice tackle near the goal line. Yeah.
And I watched that play with it where Claypool it was so freaking obvious. Come on. It was so obviously pass interference. The guy was there like a full second or two before the ball.
And can we please stop calling
stood there.
And can we please stop calling the Darnell Mooney screen bubble route bullshit? I mean, that gets 2 yards every time. And we run it 6 times a game. It's like back in 99 with Cade McNown or Shane Matthews or even Jim Miller. They do that to Marcus Robinson. He'd take it to the house. Darnell Mooney barely gets 2 yards with that. And it's every time they run it.
Yeah.
Please stop calling that play.
I wish there was a analytics service where I could punch in what is the yards per gain? What is the average yardage gain on those Darnell Mooney bubble screens so that I can get the information? Because if I were to guess, it's probably 2.3 and
about 2 yards.
Yeah. So they say those bubble screens are an extension of the run game. Well, 2 yards in a run game ain't gonna cut it. So fuck that. Mothball that play.
Well, run a smoke screen with another receiver then.
Claypool
like just change
has
it
a
up.
little success with it. Claypool can run. He got some size.
Yes, indeed. And it seems like those bubble screens work better when they're thrown into the big guys that they typically have blocking. So maybe they should evaluate that. I really do wish there was a service that would help the analytics on that. And maybe there is. So somebody knows of one.
It just seems like when the Packers run that, there's 3 people there ready to make blocks too. And they always get 7 or 8 yards. And the Bears do it. There's 3 people from the defense that's right on Mooney's ass. It just never works. They read it. It's so transparent.
Yep. And Bierman is right. Mooney needs the ball in space. And I agree with J2K. Valus would be great on bubble screens.
No, he would probably fumble. He'd probably drop it.
Don't say that.
I don't know. Valus is good at anything at this point. I mean, I hope he gets better, but right now he has shown us to scream. I don't want to scream like Ed. Nothing. He's shown us nothing. You got Ed's soundbite like the I don't know what it would.
I wish I did. I gotta get
idiots or something.
Sir Mav on our little video says I'm a little behind watching the event video now. That Aldo say Justin Fields was not Puerto Rican. The guy that I was talking to is like me, a light-skinned Puerto Rican, and I some of the names I forgot. So I was hoping to put the names on the screen, and I had like 70% of the names, and so I said, well, if I only have 70%, I shouldn't put anybody's name on. And he was one of the guys. So he told me he was Puerto Rican, and so I made that joke about the only fault Justin Fields has is that he's not Puerto Rican like me and that interviewee. Tooch, did you have a good time at the party? Did your family have a good time?
I told you at the party, I was like, this is like the best party I've been to in years.
Good.
Yeah, I heard you say that. I was beside you when you said that.
Of course, I don't go to a lot of parties, but it was fucking awesome. It was great, man. I wish everybody could have been there, man. It was a great time. I mean, we had 4 bowling lanes. It was great.
It was cool, wasn't it?
The food was awesome. You know, the football games were on giant TVs. You know, they're watching the college football games.
And the football discussions were everywhere. They were plentiful.
Yeah.
Bears talk was flowing. Barflies were there, you know. Got to meet Foster and Laz and, you know, a bunch of other. Pookie was there, you know. All of the hosts, a lot of hosts were there, you know. It was great. Vinny Parisi and Frankie, you know, got to spend some time with Mike North and what do you call it? Both the Draft on Tap hosts were there. Yeah, it was great. You know, Mac and Reed were there.
Mike North admitted to me that he's starting to buy into Justin Fields, and that was before the game. Remember, that was on Saturday.
Look at that.
Can't wait to hear what he says after this next show about Justin Fields.
I mean, you can't. Mitchell Trubisky couldn't have done that. I mean,
the 61-yard touchdown run, he was the fastest guy in the field.
Yes.
It's like shot out of a cannon. I mean, the defensive coordinator of the Lions is watching the film and going, how the fuck do I stop that? I really need to watch out for that. Yep. You know?
Dan Campbell will say something crazy about UFOs or some, we've got to drown him. He may tell he has to drown Justin in the lake.
By the way, excuse me for interrupting. I got to
right.
share with you, the Chicago Bears put this video out, and it really is. Somebody said this is one of the best videos that they've ever done, and I truly agree with that. Let me make sure the audio is up.
I hope Spice Adams isn't on it.
No. You and I agree on Spice Adams. You see it on the screen right now, guys?
Yes.
Okay, here it comes.
Yep.
Snap is back, looking to throw. Fields jumps up in the pocket. Now he's going to have to keep it himself. He runs, he gets the first down to midfield. Away at the 40. Fields to the 30.
Look at how awesome that looks.
Can he beat the angle?
Yeah, thing of beauty.
Finishes in the end zone. Touchdown,
And then the shrug.
61-yard. A Sunday stroll for Justin Fields. And the Bears do match fire with fire.
Dan,
Snap
we
is
were
back,
there.
looking
We
to
were
throw.
fucking
Fields jumps
there.
up in the pocket.
Unfucking believable. I think
Yeah.
it's being underestimated how special this was. Not underestimated, underappreciated. I don't know.
I agree. I didn't notice the Cliff Robinson Jordan shrug there at the end while we were there because I was too busy like jumping up and down and high-fiving and all that crazy shit. But yeah, it was spectacular. And like I tell you, he had a similar run in Minnesota that was negated by a penalty, a bullshit penalty that the announcers even said was bullshit. Just how many more of those can they throw? I'm so thankful they didn't throw one on that right there,
Mm-hmm. Man, I am just psyched.
Did you guys see what the coach Mike McDaniel was asked about what he had said to Justin Fields on the sideline?
I have it on video here.
It's so good, man.
This is really good. And by the way, I'm a big fan of this coach.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of. He's an offensive genius. Now, who knows? Once defenses always catch up with the offense. So we'll see if he can adapt after there's been tape evaluation. But he's got the players. He's got the brains. But I learned when we on Buffon 55, we usually preview the game, and the guy who was the guest from, I forgot his name, but he talked about Mike McDaniel's press conferences. And so, yeah, this guy is funny. Listen to this guy asking about what he told Justin Fields when he hit the sideline.
No, I just wanted him to stop scrambling. And it was pretty irritating because he didn't listen at all. He didn't take the coaching at that stage of the game. I figured no one had asked him to stop it, so I gave that a try. I think other coaches can learn from my experience that he does not listen, so rely on other tactics. You guys definitely didn't do your part in forewarning me, but that city, there's all sorts of wind.
This guy's cool, man. I
Yeah,
like this guy.
Yeah, he should have been up there talking about a loss, though.
Yeah, well, in the Super Bowl, when we meet him in the Super Bowl this year, wouldn't that be fucking great?
We never have good luck against the Dolphins, Danny.
Yeah, that's true. Like I said, they hadn't lost at Soldier Field since week 1 of '88.
We saw Dan Marino walking right in front of us. We had fucking great seats thanks to Mr. Shorty. We were like 4 rows up. Or we?
I think we were in the 3rd row.
Yeah.
I should have taken a picture of Marino. He was really close to us.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw that sideline reporter from CBS really close too. The lady.
Yeah, you see my jaw drop?
Oh yeah.
Fucking beautiful. Jeez. Why do they do that to us? Have these gorgeous reporters. We're men. Just kidding.
God
Anyway,
forbid.
I
We're
just
not
love
kidding.
that coach has fun with the game. The Dolphins coach.
Mm-hmm.
So
I want to play a soundbite from Coach Eberflus talking about Justin Fields and his progression. And he's been saying for weeks that he is a dynamite, a long ball thrower, that's his forte. And he was asked, how he's improving in other areas of his passing game.
I just think that what comes to him naturally, he's naturally a deep ball thrower. I mean, the guy throws it on a dime. That's a skill that I think you have to have or you don't have. And I think that with the intermediate passing, he's really improved on that. You know, because he's learning the offense, because he's having better pocket presence, because his timing's getting better, because he's getting more comfortable. And he's learned to do that. And Janoko and Getz have done a nice job with that. So a credit to all those guys.
Go ahead, Dan.
I was just going to say the hoodie that Eberflus is wearing, I have that one, except mine's orange. But it's the same one. But what were you going to say?
Yeah, I the Bears' fashions this year, to change the subject, I think they're really much better than I've seen in recent years. Wouldn't you agree? I mean, every year they come up with new designs on stuff.
Well, not to contradict you, that one's from last season, but yes, yeah, I like that. I spend too much money on Bears gear, so I agree with you.
Yeah. But what I was going to say is that one of the things that Eberflus didn't mention there is the intermediate passing game is more difficult for all quarterbacks. Now, some are really, really good at it. The reason that it's difficult is because there's more traffic. You know, you got more pass routes, you got more defenders and so forth. And when you're going deep, it's usually one-on-one, or you got to, you know, there's a safety coming over to help. And so that makes it a little easier, I think, for some quarterbacks. You just have to, not to say that they're good at it. You know, Fields has really good accuracy with his deep passing, and but the intermediate passing game is what usually, in my opinion, takes a little longer for young quarterbacks to develop because there's just so much more traffic to negotiate with. So from what I've seen, he's starting to really, and just like Eberflus said, because of his knowledge of the offense, his increased knowledge of the offense, because his familiarity with the players and so forth, it's just getting better and better. And I'm so fucking excited. Who is Ryan talking about that she's a freak? Oh, she must be the CBS sideline reporter we were talking about. Anyway, Tooch, your overall impressions of the game. Do you think, for instance, Mr. Shorty is still holding on to the proclamation that the Bears can go 11-6? Do you think that's remotely possible?
eight straight wins.
Yes.
I mean, the offense is can hang with some top teams. It's just that, you know, the defense, and you know, let's face it, the special teams has got some problems too, man. But
now, yeah, they were rated for the best special teams, and then all of a sudden there was a major collapse.
Yeah, a couple mistakes have cost us probably a couple games, you know. But yeah, 11 and if they go 4-4, I'd be surprised.
What do you think?
End
Dan?
up 7-10.
Do you think
I can't. I'm not going to come on here and guarantee anything. Although I was 1-0 guaranteeing the win against San Francisco, but I'm with Dan. I mean, I don't know about 8 because you still got Buffalo. I know Allen's a little banged up, but by week 16 he should be fine. Philly's having a big year, but like I said, I mean, I'm not sold on Atlanta. Maybe we get our asses kicked there. The Jets are a winnable game, even if they beat Buffalo this week. Just their offense isn't that good. Even if their defense is, I'm sorry, Zach Wilson, I don't believe in. Fuck it. Let him prove me wrong. The 2 Detroit games are winnable. Hell, maybe Green Bay's winnable now.
Yeah.
And we showed in the Metrodome or whatever their new field's called that Minnesota was winnable. And it'll be at our field and it's going to be cold. And they don't want to be outside anymore. They haven't been an outside team since, other than when the Metrodome fell apart. They haven't been at Metropolitan Stadium now since Reagan was president. So they've been indoors. They've been indoor cats for a long time now. They don't want to play in the cold.
I look at the schedule and I see a victory against the Lions. It's hard for me to say that they're going to win any of these road games against the Falcons and the Jets. I don't know, man. The Jets beat the Bills, and the Falcons are.
Josh Allen got hurt too. I mean, don't you think Justin Fields is better than Zach Wilson?
A lot better, but the Jets under what's the head coach's name? Robert
Saleh. I do like him. I do like Robert Saleh, but I mean, God, the Jets are beatable.
But absolutely. All of these teams are beatable, particularly when you look at the Bills week 16, they lost to the Jets. And that to me means that the Bears have a chance against the Bills, particularly since it's a home game. The Eagles are undefeated. That's going to be a tall task. But all of these games are winnable for the Chicago Bears, particularly since I anticipate they're going to progress from week to week to week. The thing is that this defense, who can they stop a Josh Allen? Can they stop a Jalen Hurts? They can stop Zach Wilson because he's nothing as of yet. But I don't know.
Aaron Rodgers will come in and run the same plays that he's been running against us since 2008. And we'll be like, well, we've never seen that before. How do we stop that slant pass? How do we stop that ball behind Urlacher and in front of the safety? It's just like they run the same plays over and over, and we're just like impotent cocks and can't cover it. It's just so I expect Aaron to have a big game when he comes in like he always does because he, quote unquote, owns us. But I think maybe Fields can hang with them, and maybe we can finally beat them this year.
I do anticipate the Bears are going to beat the shit out of Green Bay Packers. And so this is the segment of the show. I should do a little animation for this. This is the segment of the show where we're just going to pick on fucking Aaron Rodgers and until I get a hard on. Because this is the moment we've all been waiting for. Aaron Rodgers is imploding. He's self-destructing right before our eyes. Tooch, you and I have done some heavy-duty drugs in our time. Don't tell me that you can. Greg Gabriel disagreed with me or said I don't know about that, but I believe that this ayahuasca stuff that Aaron Rodgers took, that fucking didn't help him. He may think that it did. He may think that he's better connected with the cosmos and stuff. I don't give a shit about that. It's made him a worse quarterback. That and no Devontae Adams, that and a poor offensive line, that as Dan Aguirre's always said, an overrated head coach. I really believe that we have seen the end of Aaron Rodgers as a premier quarterback in the National Football League.
You know what Rodgers is dealing with right now?
No.
The same shit that Jay Cutler had to deal with during his entire tenure in Chicago, except when we had B. Marsh and Martellus. But for the most part, he's dealing with average to below average wide receivers, average to below average offensive line, a coach that's just so overrated because Rodgers won a lot of games when he first got there. He looks like an elf from the Wizard of Oz. So yeah, he's Cutler now. Mm-hmm. And he has a shittier attitude than Cutler ever did.
Mm-hmm.
But everyone just sucked his dick anyway and just loved on him. And, he's the greatest quarterback of all time. And people would say that shit. I'm like, I don't even know if he's the best quarterback of his franchise. I mean, I don't know if he's better than Favre. Favre's a piece of shit in real life, but I don't know if he's better than Favre per se. I mean, at least Favre got him to 2 Super Bowls. Is he better than Bart Starr?
I think that from a pure technician standpoint, Aaron Rodgers is one of the best quarterbacks I've ever seen in my life. Footwork, accuracy with the play calling, smarts, accuracy with the passes, smarts. But the Aaron Rodgers I'm seeing this season is not the Aaron Rodgers I've seen the last, he's been in the league 13 seasons or whatever. Dude, I'm interested in your opinion because I really do believe he's like still taking ayahuasca.
I've talked about this quite a bit. It seems like Cutler is, disaffected with the team. It's him and, he's just there kind of by himself with a bunch of guys. I wouldn't be surprised to see him on another team next year. Maybe like the Raiders back with Devontae Adams, somewhere else where, he's got a better cast around him this year. I don't know. Yeah. Rodgers had got a thumb injury, like Cliff Victoria says too. So that's part of it.
Oh fuck! Oh god, he's got a thumb injury.
Allegedly.
Oh my god, That's what I'm saying. What an excuse. Like, oh, fuck. And like I said, Cutler was taking shots in his balls to get back into the game in 2013 and spinning blood platelets and re-injecting himself in his balls to get back to the game. And nobody remembers that or cares. Fuck his thumb. What about Jay's thumb? I mean, Jay, no one felt sorry for Jay when he hurt his thumb in 2011. Like, fuck, spare me. I mean, I love Cliff. Don't get me wrong. I'm not disparaging Cliff.
I don't feel sorry for him, but
yeah, I mean, come on, man. Everybody's had like that's just a built-in Green Bay excuse for Rodgers.
Yeah.
He threw 3 interceptions the other day. He was downing people last week, saying people needed to be benched. And well, I mean, maybe he's the one that needs to be benched. Maybe it's Jordan Love time.
Well, a lot of Packer fans themselves. I mean, I never thought I'd see this. You know, a lot of Packer fans are like done with Aaron Rodgers.
That's because they're like petulant children who've had everything handed to them their whole lives.
Spoiled.
And suddenly there's a little bit of adversity. They don't know how to handle adversity. Yep. Other than the fact that Rodgers loses in the playoffs every year. Mm-hmm. That's the only thing they've had to deal with. You know, like, doesn't matter how great of a team he's on. You could put him on the 85 Bears and he would lose. I know he got his Super Bowl on us 120 years ago, thanks to Mike McCarthy. But every other year he's had a well above average defense and great supporting cast, great wide receivers, and he's got good running backs right now. That fucking guy Jones they have is a horse. And they still can't win. Every year they get in the playoffs, he has a terrible game and gets a pass for it. This dude is Mr. October. He deserves it over Reggie Jackson. I mean, baseball's played in November now anyway. So he's always been a regular season guy. That's why he's not the greatest.
Well, I agree with what you're saying. Let me ask you guys this. From a quarterback artistry standpoint, don't you think that the guy, and I hate to be here on giving the guy compliments, but from an artistry standpoint, don't you think that he is one of the coolest quarterbacks to throw with his footwork, with his arm strength, with his accuracy and so forth? Tooch is agreeing with me.
I think you're never going to get me to concede this point because, I mean, I've seen great quarterbacks in my lifetime that look smooth. John Elway, Joe Montana looked super fucking smooth when he wasn't getting hurt against the Giants in playoff games. Jim Kelly looked good. Dan Marino looked good. Dan Fouts looked good. Fucking Fouts was throwing for like 4,000 yards when everybody else was barely throwing 1,200.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, we've seen great quarterbacks before, but we're kind of just stuck in now. And like it's just almost like someone who's like, you know, LeBron is better than Jordan because I didn't see Jordan play. And so I think LeBron's better. You know, it's kind of one of those deals. Like people forget great players from the past. Or what about, even as much as I hate Brady or Manning, what about Peyton Manning or Tom Brady? I mean, like I said, they're not my guys at all.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, they've produced great statistics and won Super Bowls. And so I don't know why everyone just zeroes in on Rodgers. Is like, I just want to pat him on the ass and give him a blowjob and just tell him how great he is all the time. Everyone capitulates to this man all the time. You can, if you don't like the call the GM's making, you get to make the decision, Aaron, with the exception of, well, they lost Devontae Adams, who wanted to go. I don't know why everyone loves him. I'll never know because they hated Jay because he made faces or something. And Rodgers isn't putting up with diabetes, and he's still an asshole. Not even his own family likes him.
Well, we don't have to, like him as a person or anything, but throwing the deep out, he's one of the best I've ever seen, man.
But then again, my family doesn't like me either. So.
One of the toughest throws to make in football, and he makes it look pretty easy. That's, I would say he's had a great cast around him, so you could possibly say that has helped propel. But man, he makes a lot of great throws, man. He's probably a Hall of Fame quarterback. Yeah,
I'm with Tooch. I'm not voting him as humanitarian of the year. The guy's a dick. There's no doubt about it. Yeah. But Ty Cobb was a dick, but was he a great baseball player? Yes. Ty Cobb was a racist. Aaron Rodgers is an asshole.
I agree with you. I just don't think he's the greatest of all time. I don't think he's the greatest in Green Bay.
I'm not saying he's the greatest of all time.
No, you're not, but people say that about him all the time. Announcers and such, they always say that about him. Like, he's won some MVPs. I don't want to take that away from him. He deserves praise for that. Back-to-back MVPs is fucking fantastic. I don't see why people anoint him of that. And like I said, Bart Starr, won 5 fucking world championships in the 60s? And,
who's better, Dan Marino or Aaron Rodgers?
Marino. And Marino didn't even win a Super Bowl.
Right. Exactly. Why?
Marino, you asked me who had who looked cool when they threw the ball, who could throw the ball like fucking 85 yards on a dime. It's fucking Marino. Marino with a quick release. Marino's the only quarterback that could beat the 85 Bears because of that quick release. I mean, he and Joe Namath probably had the quickest releases of all time. And I'm taking Marino over Rodgers too. Well, maybe I'm just the hater, and I'll be glad to be that hater.
I gotta agree with you. You are a hater because we had this discussion too. We're at the restaurant, and Patrick Mahomes. That game was on the tube, and Dan got like angry talking about Patrick Mahomes. Fuck at Kenny O'Shea's in town. Fuck Patrick Mahomes. Fuck him. He's always getting caught. It was the Tom Brady game was on. Mahomes wasn't on until later, but
yeah, because John Buffone asked me who's going to play on Sunday night, and I had no knowledge of who was playing, and I said, I'm sure it's Kansas City. And then he looked it up and said, oh, it's Kansas City. I was like, oh, of course. They've got 16 primetime games every year. The officials, like when they were losing the Super Bowl and getting blown out, they're like, Tom Brady's going to get, what was it, his 7th ring? Well, we're sure Mahomes is going to get there. What do you mean you're sure Mahomes is going to get there? He's got 1. Like, it's just this notion that we have to, like, it's like he's Roman Reigns in the WWE, and we have to push him. We have to promote him. He's the guy going over right now. It's his jersey. He's on every fucking shitty-ass fucking insurance commercial, every other commercial break, and we just have to publicize him because he's our star. They're buying his jersey. So he gets every call. And ironically, you told me Monday morning, because I refused to watch that game. You said, John and I said there were a few calls. You were right. There were a lot of calls for Mahomes on Sunday. It's like, I told you.
And there were a couple against him that we could have said, well, it's surprising that Mahomes didn't get that call. But you're right. He does get the calls, the superstars too. You have to admit, throughout the history of sports, it seems like the superstars get the calls, right?
Yeah, that's what I said in my Bears State of Affairs. When will the Bears get the respect to get these calls? And why can't Justin? Let me ask you guys, why can't Justin Fields be like the next Patrick Mahomes as far as like celebrity star? Star on the rise. Just making commercials and just being the face, one of the faces of the NFL, the young shining stars. Don't you think he can be that?
I hope not. I wish him nothing but the worst. I'm not Fields. I meant Mahomes. With Fields, Fields. That's why. Again, when we watch, there was a play in Sunday's game that no one's talking about. When Fields got sacked and he got slammed on the side of his head, if that had been Mahomes, the player that did it would have been suspended for 2 games, would have been ejected from the game. No call when Fields is hit. So yeah, I'm a bitter bastard when it comes to that. It doesn't matter if it was Jonathan Quinn. If you're going to get slammed and the rules are like that, then the flag should be thrown. But if you barely put a finger on Brady or Mahomes, they throw the flag. And that kind of shit. Yeah, I'm envious. Envious.
But you don't take it out on the quarterback. Patrick Mahomes is still a good quarterback, a great
He's the bandwagon guy, and it just makes me nauseous.
That's not his fault from an evaluator standpoint. You got to separate the preferences that the referees give him. What Patrick Mahomes does over and over again is stuff that we haven't seen any quarterback do. And you got to, as a football fan, I believe you got to respect that. You got to applaud it. You got to say, hey, that's fucking awesome. I hope Justin Fields is going to surpass that. I
hated Brett Favre, but the stuff Mahomes did, the things that Mahomes did. Go ahead, sorry.
I don't understand the hatred for him because he's getting favorable calls from the league because he gets endorsement stuff. All that stuff is going to happen to Justin Fields. Just if Justin Fields earns it, just like Patrick Mahomes has earned it with his play.
Well, I was just going to say, I have seen the stuff Mahomes has done. Young Brett Favre did all of that kind of shit, throwing sidearm, throwing unorthodox. And as much as I don't like Favre, I will give Favre credit, especially in the early to mid 90s. That's who Mahomes is. And Favre, when the team got bad around him, was throwing a bunch of picks. And that's who Mahomes is going to be too. Whenever he's not surrounded by Pro Bowlers, he's going to throw 25, 30 picks a year.
Every quarterback that doesn't have an offensive line, I don't care if the quarterback's name is Jesus Christ, is going to have
exactly what I was about to say.
That's my favorite quarterback, Jesus Christ.
I love him.
The worse the team around the quarterback is, the worse the quarterback gets.
Yes, that quarterback, Jesus Christ, he always forgives me for all my sins.
Well, that's a good one.
Darren, you can stick around.
Unfortunately, I've got to go to 911. I'm sorry, and I'm sorry for ranting on your guys, but
don't apologize. That's the way you feel.
That is the way I feel.
Made a great play, and there's a lot of similarity between Favre's game and Mahomes' game. You know, they both had good escapability, run around and make that little, tiny like Fran Tarkenton type, escape, button hook escape. And they both threw the ball hard, threw the ball a long way.
Someone just said on and I agree with you too. Someone said that I don't know who said it was about me defending Cutler, because Cutler was our guy, man. Cutler was a bear. I'm biased here, bro.
Yeah.
There it is. I'm biased. Fields is my guy. Fields is the guy I'm defending now. And I defended Jay. Fuck, man. I mean, I defended Mitch. I mean, that's my guy. Of course I'm going to defend him,
But I know you and I have talked so much about sports, Dan, that I also know that you have an appreciation for the great teams, the great players, and so forth. It seems like there are certain players that you have a really hardcore anti.
Yes, I don't want to watch Mahomes play at all. I don't care if they're the Thursday game, the Sunday afternoon game, Sunday evening, Sunday night, Monday night. I don't want to watch him play. I don't want to watch Aaron Rodgers play. I only watch him when he plays us. I loathe them that much. Yeah, and you know what? Jeff George had a rocket fucking arm too. So I mean,
wow, he was awful.
Jeff George made the playoffs a couple times. I mean,
not with the Bears.
Well, no, because he was never even took the field. He was a third stringer in 2004. He never got a chance to get on the field. Yeah, I mean, but the Jeff George was a guy that the league just decided they didn't like. They said had a bad attitude, just like Jay Cutler. And that was his narrative, and he couldn't escape it. Jamarcus Russell, they said, well, you're too fat. You didn't watch film. So even though he got in shape, he never got another tryout. Colin Kaepernick, we don't like your fucking politics. You don't get to come back. Although a lot of that's on Kaepernick himself, because they did give him some tryouts later. But George was one of those guys that kind of got blackballed. Let's not forget that. I mean, I know that was a long time ago now, but he yelled at June Jones on the sidelines, and everyone said, God, what an asshole. Oh, he forced his way out of Indianapolis. What an asshole. But he had some great skill. But on that note, I've got to go.
Wait a minute. Before you go, Stephen Mee has one for you. He says, Dan's just angry because he's not getting the Patrick Price.
That is well played, Stephen Mee. That is well played.
Very well played. Dan
I'm angry because I'm a Bears fan and we lose. That's why I'm angry.
Yes, I know. Leslie Briones says hello. She's in Chicago.
Yeah, I met her in front of the Peyton statue.
She was at the show. That's right. Yeah, I mean at the party.
She's
fantastic. All right, gentlemen and ladies and everyone in the chat room, I love you all. I appreciate you all, but I've got to go. Thank you.
All right, Danny.
Go save some lives. We love you, Dan Aguirre. It was so great seeing you this weekend and giving you a great bear hug. I will talk to you soon, brother.
Thanks again for everything. All jokes aside, too, it's just great seeing you too. But literally, Aldo, you're picking up dinners and buying me this T-shirt, man. It's just let me stay at your house. It's fucking awesome, man. Thank you.
You're the man. Take care, man.
Thank you. All right, be well.
It was a great party, man. Like I said,
it was.
My wife and I had a great time. The girls.
Yeah, I could tell they were having a good time. That was pretty cool.
Yep. And I spent a lot of time with Danny and Neil. I had a good time talking about some college players from this year. And those guys really know their shit. And then
They sure fucking do.
like John Buffon and Mike North were taller than me. I didn't expect that. That's like they're both really tall guys.
I think North is 6'1.5", 6'2". So yeah. Who was the other guy you said was tall?
Johnny Buffon.
John Buffon. You know, and the other guy that is really tall, Evan McLean.
Danny Schmidt is pretty tall too. Yeah, Evan was tall too. It's like we might be the tallest. I think we're the tallest network.
Yeah, that's right. We could put together a really good basketball team.
Yeah, because I'm 6 foot and Aldo's over 6 feet tall.
Yeah,
So it's like,
exactly. All right, Johnny Santucci. Nasli was there. She says, and it was an awesome fiesta. It was so great to meet you, Nasli, face to face finally, and the friends that you brought. Remind me the name of. I think her name was Christina. And of course, I know Almis from the podcast, but the other woman was Christina. She was lovely. It was great to practice my Spanish on you guys. But I want to make sure I got the names. I'm so terrible with freaking names, man. It's awful.
Yeah. I think I forgot people's names like a minute after they told me. So I was like,
what is it with people like
I don't know.
I don't get it. You know, I
You're having such a good time, you forget how important it is to remember the name, you know?
I guess that's what it is. I just, you know, and I'm the same with directions. I'll pull into a gas station. Hey, can you tell me how to get? And as soon as I pull out of the gas station, I like Daniela. That's her name. Christina. I said Daniela.
I had a good time, man. I'll tell you, after it was pretty good. I mean, I drove in a monsoon to get there. You know, it was like 6 hours of white knuckle. Pouring rain where I couldn't see a lot, you know, and
I know poor Tucci arrives at the place and he's telling me like all these horror stories of his drive. I was like,
I almost died a couple times, I think. You know, but I made my wife and I stopped like I don't know 4 times on the way, maybe 5 times. We're like, maybe it'll blow over. Let's get to it. Never did, you know, and you know, we stopped, I don't know, somewhere around the border, maybe Davenport or somewhere around the Iowa City around there. And it was a gas station called Quick Start. I went in there, man. It had like the best donut section ever, man. It was like huge. First of all, they had like a case of donuts that were like 6 doors, you know, and like 4 levels in each one. It had like all different flavors, man. It was amazing. They did a donut they called a Persian, which I never heard of or anything like that. But then they had like a dozen donut boxes with all assorted. They had like all these other ones, you know, 4 packs, you know, all different prices and all different flavors and all different toppings. And the donuts, a lot of their donuts, these Persian ones, they had like the cinnamon roll icing, which is like cream cheese icing. It's like a little bit thicker, you know, kind of like swathed on there like butter and stuff. And I didn't buy anything, but on the way back, I was like, man, I'd really like to stop and actually try that shit, you know. And I couldn't find the Quick Start, but then like when we got there, like, okay, there's one. I don't think this is the one, you know. Went in there, but it turns out they all have this like premium bakery with like, you know, and it was fucking. I'll put that donut up against any other donut. We have a place in West Des Moines called Hertz Donut. That's like supposed to be really good. It's good, but man, I think the one at the gas station was pretty fucking good, man.
It's not often that you hear you get compliments from a donut at a gas station. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Hey, I saved a couple of comments, a few comments from people during the course of the show that I wanted to address with you.
Yeah.
First of all, King Pookie Nation says Mario Edwards made a sack for the Titans. Mario Edwards had a fucking great game against the Titans. It was extraordinary. And it bugged me that the Bears gave up on Mario Edwards.
Yeah.
Greg Gabriel throughout the preseason was saying, I really do believe Mario could help the Bears at the defensive line and maybe even play some 3-tech. I think that was a mistake by the Chicago.
I do too. Yep. Full agreement, Aldo. Yeah. I heard Greg Gabriel say that a couple times. I'm like, all right, we got a guy. He's already, you know, we're ready to just plug him in. And then he was gone. I'm like, what the fuck? You know?
It's really frustrating. And, you know, there's this whole thing about is Ryan Poles really playing for, you know, a top 3, top 5 draft pick? And there's been some of the player personnel decisions that he's made makes me wonder a little bit. You know, I like Ryan Poles. I'm not saying, you know, and I like the approach that he's taking to rebuilding this team, but I do think that some of the player personnel decisions that he's made a little eyebrow raising. And then during the media mashup,
it's like you're reading from my notebook again, Aldo.
Oh,
you know, because
take a peek at it.
if I were to ask you, have we had a GM that's made moves like this before? I can't think of one. You know,
Nope.
it's a little unorthodox for me, and I'm not sure how to think about it, completely, because he kind of gutted the defense and turned the Bears into an offensive machine. I don't know whether it was because of the players he got rid of, their personality clash, maybe with the other players, the coaches, or whatever. Maybe because of their contracts, but forced the team to re-examine itself or reinvent itself into, like I said, I maybe said 2 weeks ago that we have to start thinking of the Bears as an over team instead of an under team. Like where games we would play like against the 49ers, the Commanders, the score would be well under the total. And now it's like, no question, it's gonna, the games are more of an over, as the Bears could put some points on the board. And like I said, with the Justin Fields rushing totals, it was 42.5, 47.5. It gave my clients 2 5-unit plays on Sunday. One was Justin Fields over 49.5 yards rushing. The other was the Bears Dolphins over 45.5 points. I was that confident that both of those totals would be well over, and I was like, I thought I should have given out like Justin Fields over 100 yards rushing, because goddamn it, the kid almost had 200 yards rushing. But
amazing.
Yeah, I'm curious to see where they set Justin Fields' rushing line for next week. I mean, Anthony said it'll be like 63.5, he thinks, because you don't want to make it like 83 where people are like, they're going to start playing the under, and you got a good chance at the under and stuff, so I think Anthony's probably pretty close to what it'll be against the Lions, but at 63, I still might be tempted to take the over. I got to tell you, because, he just is running the ball so well.
He really is, man. And it's just getting better and better as they are, strategizing on using his legs as opposed to just having him ad lib off of running plays. It's Getsy is finally utilizing him like the Ravens utilized Lamar Jackson's running.
Can we talk about Luke Getsy a little bit?
Sure.
Okay, because I saw a lot of stuff I liked with the ball fakes, where Justin Fields, he looked like a veteran, like hiding the ball, one arm out, keeping it.
Wasn't that pretty? Yeah.
Very beautiful, man. It was like really that like really opened my eyes, because I've been a Justin Fields proponent, just because I could see sort of some things that I really like about his game. Not just the scrambling and stuff, but I think eventually if he figured out, the passing game, and now you see the play fake, the play action, which is what we've been calling for a long time. We want to see some play fakes. We've seen rollouts. They move the pocket, a lot of great stuff. And I gotta give Luke Getsy some credit for this offensive game plan. If they didn't get the punt block, they probably win the game, Aldo. I mean, they were at the end of the game, they get that call on Claypool. They should have won this game.
Right. You're absolutely right. It was
why I said it.
And the Claypool play, those two plays. Yeah.
Yeah. It felt like a win. We should have been, and this is what's been frustrating about the season, this game, the Bears season. It's like before it was kind of like the Bears' fault, where they'd get you almost to orgasm but deny you the orgasm. Now you're getting like, we're getting to the point of orgasm, but it ain't the Bears that are fucking it up for us.
I know what he's talking about.
It's like the officials, or so special teams gaff, But yeah,
I gotta show it one more time. I think I still have it queued up here. This freaking play, this freaking Ryan Dixon. I mean, he's right there. Oh,
right in front of the play.
How did that happen?
They're all hanging all over him.
Yes. And Tom Thayer said something.
Right hand on the hip. That's that's pass interference.
And then brings him to his
now
body.
He's there early before the ball gets there.
And there is
he's pulling him backwards before the ball gets there.
Right.
I mean, the team has the option to send clips of this play to the
Right.
NFL offices, right?
Right. They do, yes.
That was probably in the mail yesterday to the offices.
Yeah, really.
You know?
Tom Thayer said something interesting about Ryan Dixon. He says the back judge, he should never be looking at the flight of the football. His job is to be focused on the receivers going downfield and doing battle. And he contends, Tom Thayer does, that Dixon was looking at the flight of the ball and wasn't looking at the receivers. And so when he follows the flight of the ball to the contact, it's likely that you're not going to see the contact. So I don't know if Tom is right here, but I think it is a legitimate argument that a lot of times back judges are looking at the flight of the ball, and it's not a good idea.
They're probably trained not to do that too. I mean, like Dan Aguirre said, that guy should be fired.
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
You know?
Indeed.
Yeah, it's a shame.
And so that whole thing has to. Greg Gabriel talked about it today. He wishes these grades that the officials get were revealed and that it was transparent.
Yeah,
why not? You know, and I made the joke on Twitter saying, you know, Pro Football Focus grades player performance. We should come up with our own website called Pro Football Fuck Ups, where we grade the performances of these asshole officials who.
We need to have that guy back on, the officiating guy that was here, Brad Ostro.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
Brad, was his name Brad? Ostro was his last name, I remember.
Yes, I think it was Brad from footballzebras.com.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. I got there was another guy that reached out to me and said, you know, I respect footballzebras.com, but that's basically a fan site, and they're proponents of football officiating that will defend them to the death. I, however, have a YouTube channel where we really are unbiased look at officiating. So maybe we'll bring him in and get a different take on it.
Can you do me a favor and put that schedule up again, just real quick?
Of course, sir. I can do that. Here it comes.
So if we're looking at that, we beat the 49ers. We really didn't have a chance to win the Packers game, I don't think, right?
Well, we did, but I mean, remember what happened at the fourth down at the 1 yard line? They decided to do a sneak from the shotgun position.
Right.
So that spoiled the comeback attempt. You know, we could have maybe come back on that.
I guess, maybe come back.
It was a little bit closer, but yeah, it was the Packers, you know, won that game. Let's just say, yeah.
We won against the Texans. We were beating the Giants, right?
Yep.
We were beating the Vikings.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we should have beat the Commanders. The Commanders did not win that game. We lost the game.
You're
you know,
right.
so I mean, look at how many. If a couple of those won, you know, we're looking at you know, more of a 500 record, you know, and a better outlook at towards the end of the season at maybe sneaking in the back door of the playoffs. You know, you know, Washington. We had a chance. We had a chance to beat the Cowboys. You know, they got out of hand with a couple bad plays. One special teams fumble, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we should have won against the Dolphins. You know, it's one of those seasons, you know, with a young team that gets close, you know, like I said, one of my Bears state of affairs, the Bears are cock teases. Although
that's
they're
well
cock teases, you know.
Well, and it's sort of like, you know, a kid growing up and having his first erections, you know, and saying, wow, this is pretty awesome, you know, but never knowing exactly how to climax. So I think that's the analogy I would use. So what do you like this week in the world of betting? Have you started doing your card for, you know, college football and stuff like that? Is there a kind of a tease you can give us?
Saturday, you know, college basketball had a pretty good day for the opening day, which was Monday. Let me go back to my history here because
and while you're doing that, I want to let people know that on Saturday, Tooch is the lead host of Weekend Sports Betting Tips with two outstanding handicappers, and Tooch being the third. it's not just great information for anyone laying a bet, but it's just an entertaining show. Tooch does such a great job navigating the show with his guests. It's a breezy show at about 30 minutes. And so I highly recommend it. Try to catch it live so that you can get your bets in. But even if you catch it on demand, it's well worth your time.
Yeah, we're starting to get a few more people in the chat room. It's been fun. People who like talking college football and stuff, and they're giving good questions in the chat room. Yeah, opening day of NCAA basketball was 6-3, which is not bad. You don't know what these teams are like at the beginning of the season, so you have to really kind of read about how many players are returning. How many starters they have. They have enough seniors leadership. And then I was 2-1 in NFL. Should have been 3-0 on Monday night, but for a Monday 8-4, not too bad. But today looks like I'm going to be 4-3-1 on today. Today was a tough day. It's like not much going on. There's some crappy college basketball games and MAC football games and some hockey. No NBA or anything like that. But I've had like 5 straight winning days, so got to feel good about it.
You got to take that. Hey, what do you think about what Steven is asking here? You got a favorite for the World Cup?
I haven't. I gotta look more into it. For the World Cup.
Isn't that a very popular betting sport? Soccer and the World Cup in particular.
I mean, Brazil is always good. Argentina. I think Germany might be pretty good this year too. I don't know.
When does that start? By the way, anybody in the chat room know when World Cup start? I guess I can hit the Google.
It's not too far off, to be honest. I don't think. I think it's December.
No, I think it might be.
I'm not sure. Is it early next year, or is it sooner?
No, it's starts Sunday, November 20th.
Okay, so yeah, November.
Some qualifying. Well, no, it's not qualifying.
Nice,
it's
2 weeks. Yeah. Yep, 2 weeks.
So that's going to be.
I was looking at some soccer today and didn't like what I saw. Even though I like Bayern Munich, I usually like betting on them. They're like one of the best teams in the world. But I can't lay 2.5 goals. It's just too much.
I got to tell you, I'm not a huge soccer fan, but when it comes to World Cup, oh man, I'm all in.
Yeah,
because it's fantastic drama. It's
Yep.
like. I don't watch a lot of baseball games during the regular season, but I love to watch the World Series because
the World Series and the playoffs. Yep.
Yes, exactly.
Every little thing matters.
Man, it is fucking fantastic. And I like to, do a little research for those big
Dusty
games.
Baker got his, World Series.
Yeah, I should have asked Dan Aguirre about that because he would suck Dusty Baker's dick.
I think I told you I was on the hook for Phillies magazine, right? When I was at the party.
Yeah.
So, like I said, we always produce 2 magazines at the same time, and they're almost all completed except for like the center spread, which is about a 10-page story. And that gets written after the game, and then while it's being written, there's photos from the game that are being worked. Editors are proofreading it, and it takes about, from after the game around 11, I'll be probably doing the Super Bowl, at least one, I'll be on one of the teams. I was on the Phillies, and when the Astros won on Saturday, I knew I didn't have to work Sunday night. So it wasn't terrible, but, I'll be, I was on the hook for the Phillies. So it's kind of fascinating that they do 2 full magazines and one gets ditched, which is kind of cool. But
Retro, that's a question for Dan Aguirre. Go ahead and text him.
Why do they call him Dusty?
Retro, I've said this before. Retro just reminds me of guys that I grew up with a sense of humor.
Yeah, I had a rough day today. I took today off, because I went and got my flu shot. I had to get my vaccine card recreated because I lost it. I'm going to Asia soon. I can't get into the Philippines without the vaccine card.
Oh my god!
I had to make an appointment. 2 weeks from tomorrow.
Wow, look at you. In the middle of the football season, you're leaving the United States. What's wrong?
My wife's mom is sick, and she thinks it'll be the last time she sees her mom, but hopefully not, but she hasn't been in 4 years. She missed her family. So,
Mhm.
she bought us all tickets and whatnot. And I'm excited too. I'll miss a lot of like football and sports wagering. So I got to turn my clients over to Anthony and,
Are
let him.
are they still going to do the weekend sports betting tips while you're away?
I hope so. I got to see if either, someone can host for them. I'll work on Frankie Mueller has volunteered to host.
Ooh, I like.
So
he's good. He's good.
Yeah. And I got to get Frankie soon. Maybe Aldo can host one. I don't know if you want.
I'd be happy to.
If you want to get in there with Anthony and Sean. But yeah, I'll be gone for about 3 weeks actually, because if I go for just 2 weeks, it's like 3 or 4 days travel on either end. That's like that's like one of the weeks.
I'm with you, man. I'm
So,
totally
it's hard.
with you. If
Yeah.
you're going to make a trip like that, try to extend it as much as possible, without a doubt.
So I was doing that. Got my flu shot, and then I had to take my mom to a couple doctor's appointments, and then my Camilla has had this earache for like a month, so she went to the ENT, and my wife's phone stopped working. So we're like, we got to get new phones. I'm like, God damn, I'm gonna sit at fucking T-Mobile for, I'll bet you 3 hours. It was 3 hours to get new phones, figure out all the crap and transfer all the data and stuff. It's like I just dreaded it,
I don't blame.
3 hours at the fucking cell phone place office. But yeah, it was horrible. And I got to get home, prepare for the show, rewatch the game, tune up Bears State of Affairs.
By the way, when you were rewatching the game, did you notice that one play that was an end around to Darnell Mooney, and Ryan brought this up back at 9:25 Central Time? That one end around was supposed to be a pass back to Justin Fields. Did
I
you
thought
know
about that. Yeah, I saw. I thought it was supposed to be. He didn't though, right?
He didn't, because the pass rush got to him, and so he did the right thing. Justin said he did the right thing and tucked the ball and ran with it. But fuck, was Justin wide open. If he could have gotten that ball off to Justin Fields, it would have been just the icing on top of a phenomenal day. Can you imagine throwing for a touchdown, catching a pass, and running for a touchdown? Wait a minute, who's done that before?
Gale Sayers, right?
Walter Payton,
Walter, yep. I think Gale Sayers had like 6 touchdowns in one game. I thought maybe he
he didn't
throw one though. He didn't throw one though. Yeah, okay.
They were all runs.
He had a punt return, like a run,
a kickoff return, and 4 running touchdowns. Yes,
yeah,
I remember. Although Dan Aguirre's not here to confirm that.
Yeah.
All right,
Gale
brother,
Sayers, man. My dad used to always say he never saw anything like Gale Sayers run.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I'm telling you, the guy was phenomenal. Who was it that I think it was Mike North? He was asked at the party, who would you have preferred, Walter Payton or Gale Sayers in your team? I think it was Mike who said Gale Sayers. And hard to argue with that, but I would go with Walter because he was a better pass blocker than Gale was.
Yeah, but, I mean, if you're throwing out durability,
Yep.
Yeah.
What else do you want to cover before we pull the plug on this edition, brother?
No, I just gotta want to just a couple shout outs. First, Aldo and Donna for throwing a great party. Fucking amazing. The food was great. The food was fucking awesome too, man. And for Kings and that whole entertainment complex over in Rosemont is just beautiful.
Isn't it great?
It's like, or I was I didn't even know that was there. It's like the boardwalk of Universal Studios. With all the shops and bars and restaurants and whatnot, comedy club, whatever they got over there, everything is beautiful. Kings was great. The host or the barmaid,
Nikki, our server, was fantastic.
Yeah, our server was fantastic. Yeah. The food was great. The bowling was fantastic. Barflies are great to put some names with faces and stuff like that. And just had a great time. It was worth driving through a monsoon.
Thank you, man. It was so I'm so happy to see you and your wife.
I had a good time. Yeah.
Every time I see your
Great
kids,
time.
I'm so excited because I've watched them grow up. You know, it's like
Yep.
every year I get a chance to see them, almost every year, and so I'm watching your young girls grow up. So it's fantastic. It reminds me of me and my wife and raising our two daughters. So
They're both are kind of sick right now. The two of them. I don't know.
Oh.
My wife had to stay home from work tonight because I couldn't
Mm-hmm.
handle both of them vomiting and stuff. So
By
my wife.
the way,
my
you
wife
got to
was
bring your son to our next
Yeah.
party. You got to bring your
Yeah.
son. So
I will.
Love to meet him and try to embarrass him.
Yeah, I should have called him to come out that day. He's like hard to get a hold of though sometimes, you know.
He's
he
at
won't
that age.
Pick up, you know, just then the pick up when he wants to pick up or call when he wants to call. You know how it is.
Those are sons. Yep.
Yep.
All right, my brother. Again, this Saturday, it's a weekend sports betting tips. And you should be following John Santucci's Twitter account at John Santucci VIP. He gives out free plays. Explain how that works, Tucci.
I just retweet and you just have to follow me on Twitter and retweet. You must follow. You get they'll send it right to your direct message and post it on my timeline too.
There you go.
Then, we're trying to think maybe like Anthony thinks maybe Friday nights is better. Might get a better crowd of barflies on Friday night. So see if that's better for weekend sports betting tips. But
well, I personally I think the Saturday time slot is good. We just have to do a better job of promoting it. And so the four of us should sit down and chat about that. How can we do a good job running? Because it's definitely a fantastic show. You guys know what you're talking about. And like I said, 100 times, you guys are super entertaining.
I think we all had 3 winners too on that show Friday night. All 3 of us gave out 3 winners. Yep.
Look at that. So, just got to keep plugging away, and the betters will come. And I love what Mike North does. He does the accountability. Accountability Monday or Tuesday whenever he releases that video. You guys should do the same thing too. It's a way to brag about your accomplishments.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Hey,
we'll do. Yeah,
I'm an idea person. It's the execution part that I like.
Yeah. I think I'm the same too. I have a ton of ideas, man.
Such and I are cut out of the same cloth.
Oh yeah,
I used to be a porn star too, Tooch. Not the only one.
A lot of the barflies are like, we're not used to seeing you without clothes.
You heard that? Really?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, they're funny.
Retro Tooch should get it tattooed on his ass.
Yeah, the Jeremy. Yeah, I'm thinking about getting a tattoo. I don't know if that'd be the one, but
yeah, I would. You really are thinking about getting a tattoo?
Yeah, my wife and I were talking about it. My friend Tom, who lives here in Des Moines, he got one. I was kind of a little jealous. I felt a little pang of jealousy.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I kind of always wanted an arm tattoo,
Yeah, let's see if I can show here.
No, I didn't know you had any. I definitely would like to get one, man.
This is
There we go. Oh yeah,
just like the neon sign
very
behind.
Nice, very nice. And I forgot what's the name of the guy that did the neon sign? I forgot. It was a barfly, right?
Bobby Bombs. I think he was the guy that
commissioned it. Okay.
Yeah, he had it.
He had it made.
Thing. Yeah. So those of you watching, that sign there is a gift to me by a number of the barroom show hosts and some barflies, I believe, also pitched in. So it was fantastic. I love that thing.
Very cool. It's awesome.
Yeah. I wish I could get one for everyone in the barroom because it would be a nice little addition.
I'd like to see Bobby Bombs again sometime. I got to be on a show with once this season. He was on Barfly Tailgate. I was on that show.
Yeah, I'm always afraid to talk about what Bobby's up to because I'm afraid that the U.S. military will just cut off our connection,
cut the feed automatically.
Exactly. They're looking at us. All right, I guess we have to.
All right,
on this one, and then go look at the election results. Although I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to watch Bachelor in Paradise.
I'm so tired. Yeah, I'm waiting because Crimes of the Future came out on one of those. It's on my Hulu, so I don't know. It could be like Stars or HBO or one of them. It's that David Cronenberg movie. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm gonna try and watch that before next Tuesday.
Yeah, let's do that.
Crimes. We'll have to text Danny.
Yes, let's do that as an assignment. That would be fun because I'm a huge David Cronenberg fan.
Yeah.
Those of you who don't know, he is a horror filmmaker who is one of the legendary horror filmmakers in the history of cinema. So
body horror. That's a lot of it. Like a lot of in the movies, like things happen to characters' bodies that are kind of nightmarish, nightmare things. Yeah. Always this hallmark of his movies.
I didn't think of it that way, but you're absolutely right.
Like, did you see Videodrome?
Yes, love
like
that.
The VHS tape being inserted in his stomach or whatever. There's that, and Existence with Jude Law and Jennifer Jason Leigh. They get the implants and the living controllers.
Yeah,
I have video game implants.
I have not seen that one, but
man, it's brilliant, really good, man. So you got to check that one out too.
With Jeremy Irons playing the
Dead Ringers. Yep.
Holy fuck!
Slaving all day over the hot snatches. While you're out, whatever, arguing with his brother, because they were gynecologists, whatever.
Yes, that's the inside joke. You gotta watch the movie. All right, everybody, it is time to say goodbye. Let's see, what do we got going tomorrow? Tomorrow at 2 p.m. it is Bar Down Hockey Talk. By the way, I'm going to have a longer version of the entertainment night for the Bar Down guys to share with people. So there'll be interviews with the Tooch and those guys. So tune in just to watch that and support those guys because they do such a great job. Or watch it on demand if you can't catch it live. And then tomorrow night, it's Buffon 55. Our guest, who's going to help us preview this Lions game, I don't know if you know him, Tooch, but if you don't, no, but he's been a no-show with Mr. Shorty on Bears Country Podcast, so he probably wouldn't show up with the Buffon. Yeah. But Math Bomb, Kent Platty.
Oh yeah, love that guy. Kent, raw athletic score.
There you go. He is the developer, the innovator of. I think it's relative athletic scores where he takes
relative athletic score,
speed and weight and all that stuff. He comes up with this combination.
Yeah.
I gotta tell you the truth. When I first met Kent and he did that, I thought to myself, I don't know if this is really of any value. Oh, fucking A. Now it's being used by college football scouts and pro scouts to help with the evaluation of players. So Kent is a genius. He's a mathematical genius. He's applied it to football, but he's also a huge Detroit Lions fan, and but he's always objective and stuff. So it's going to be a great interview with him and John Buffon.
Chase Claypool had one of the highest scores, if I'm not mistaken.
I think you are absolutely right.
Like 9.98 or something.
Yes, and I think Justin, of course, had that. So that's going to be a great interview. That's Buffon 55 at 7 p.m. Central tomorrow. Nice. So I know Tooch will be watching. I hope
I always try to catch Johnny Buffon's show.
He's the best, right?
He is.
By the way, I got to say something. I'm going to say this to John tomorrow on Buffon 55. But John and Dan Aguirre both stayed here, and both were great.
Yeah.
But
how did that go? Because like Dan Aguirre always thought that John Buffon hated him or something, right? Or secretly harbored thoughts that maybe John Buffon hated him.
Exactly.
I was like, Dan, he doesn't hate you.
I know. It's just they have two different broadcast styles. Dan Aguirre is uncensored, and John, likes to play a little bit more because of his professional career. He doesn't want to be where people are talking about cocksucking and stuff like that. But they were both great guests. But my wife said, "You got to tell John that the way he made the bed when he left was like the exact way that she made it." And so my wife wants to know, did John take a picture of the bed with all the pillows on the bed and all that stuff and then tried to replicate that before he left? Because he's phenomenal. He's such a charming guy too. I think my wife was in love with him. So
he's a great guy, very gracious with his time, super friendly.
Yeah, isn't he sensational? So that's Perform 55. It'll be on. John was definitely on top. Yeah. Retro, I love you. So make sure you let people know what we're doing here at the Barroom Network. I don't know what the fuck it is we're doing, but we do it almost every day. So for John Santucci, for Dan Aguirre, and for everybody else in America, thank you for watching. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Dan and Aldo Bare Their Souls. Make sure you subscribe to the Barroom Network and you give us a rating on iTunes. Until next week, my name is Namse. Bear down.